Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Project Infinite podcast, the podcast covering the infinite and ever-expanding multiverse of fandom, from movies, comics, TV shows, video games. We got you covered. I'm Rob. I'm here, as always, with Court. And Court, we got a lot of news this week.
We're basically your local news station. It's great.
Oh, yeah. But besides that, we're not here to talk about Jurassic World.
I thought we were going to not tell the people and just let it happen, but I guess we have some explaining to do.
Our credibility is shot.
No, it's not. We're the number one leading podcast on Oppenheimer/Barbie.
Yep. And we have both of those things.
Yeah, we do.
Not really. I didn't write it down, but we could talk about it.
Yeah, we sure can talk about it.
So Oppenheimer's in pre-production.
Yes, it is. Thank God.
That's it. As with most of our Oppenheimer news, it's just short, to the point, and just needs to be reminded that this movie's a thing, and it has the most ridiculous cast ever assembled.
Well, hold on now. There is a movie that's coming out on the same day called Barbie with an equally ridiculous cast.
These movies are going to be linked forever in the hearts and minds of the viewers. So yeah, Ryan Gosling, we got his first look as Ken.
And the internet broke for a little bit.
It really did.
Yeah.
Look, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all I really got to say about it.
Cool. It's Greta Gerwig, it's Margot Robbie, it's Ryan Gosling. Who else we got? Simu Liu. I mean, she's back with Saoirse Ronan, obviously, because that's her main girl. But, I mean, can I say it? I'm excited to see what this movie holds, because that's an Oscar-winning director that's backing this movie. Margot Robbie's the main character. I don't have a lot to say. I just think this is gonna
what
be
a
like
time.
This is like an art house Barbie movie. I don't know how to formulate my thoughts at this moment. I'm just very intrigued. You've definitely piqued my curiosity.
That first trailer is gonna say a lot, isn't it?
I need them to drop the Oppenheimer trailer and the Barbie trailer on the same day. Yeah. Really see the internet explode.
But we are going to talk about not Jurassic World this week. We're going to talk about Star Wars again, because Obi-Wan's finale is this week. So we're going to review that next week. And we talked about Revenge of the Sith last week.
Yeah.
So this week, we thought we'd do something a little fun, because Star Wars is supposed to be fun.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty cool that we're doing this, because over the past years since these sequels came out, there's been a lot of hate around the things that people love. And I just think that it's a good time. Let's just for us to talk about our favorite moments and some of the stuff that made us fall in love with Star Wars, why it's one of the greatest stories ever told. This is the land of first. If you look at Star Wars, it's such a big pillar in the science fiction community, the film community, and just storytelling overall. So I definitely want to deep dive with Rob and some of the things that just make it as great as it is.
And some of the reasons why we love Star Wars. As, we're going to list some good moments, some genuinely good moments, some silly moments that we enjoy.
Number one, favorite moment, Babu Frick.
Oh, if you don't think Babu Frick's coming up in this discussion, you got another thing coming. But first, we do have a ton of news to get
all the
through.
News.
So, as is laid out in the foundation of this podcast, if there's Dune news, we talk about Dune news first. And we do have Dune news.
Yes.
Dune news.
Dunes. We have Dunes.
So we have a casting reveal for Dune Part 2. Léa Seydoux has been cast.
You know her from No Time to Die. You know her, and from Spectre. You know her from French Dispatch. You know her from Blue is the Warmest Color. And I'm blanking on all of her other movies. But, phenomenally French actress. She's one of the, crowning achievements to come out of France in the last couple of years. She's really tenured in Hollywood at this point now. And I think that's just a great cast. And so who's she playing?
She is playing Lady Margot. So, for those of you familiar with the Duneverse, Lady Jessica is obviously one of the Bene Gesserit represented in the first Dune movie, and Lady Margot is yet another Bene Gesserit who will be shown in Dune Part 2.
Yeah, this movie's picking up. It's crazy to think that this movie's still picking up steam. You have Austin Butler, who just came off his performance as Elvis that we're going to see, I think, in the next couple of weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
We're going to see some people have already seen it. We haven't. We're going to get there to the point where we see these movies super early. But, yes, he will debut as Elvis. That's going
in Dune, as Elvis.
Yep. It's the only way to do it, right? Just all this, this political warfare in space, and Elvis shows up.
No, he's playing Fade Rafa.
I still think that's such a... Because it's funny, we talked about it. He was, one of the golden children of Disney Channel. Like, he was popping up in Nickelodeon, Disney Channel. He was just, like, a very... And then it felt like he went silent, and then he was just in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm like, Oh, wait. And then I was like, is this guy a good actor now? And, I mean, after what I've been hearing of this Elvis movie, he is. He really is. Yeah. He can't break that Elvis accent, though.
It's all right, though.
It's fine. Anything for the Oscar, I guess.
Joining Florence Pugh also, who is Princess Irulan.
Yeah. Don't forget about Christopher Walken. How can we forget about Christopher Walken?
Well, yeah, Christopher Walken also.
Yeah. A role that would have been cool for Michael Fassbender, but it's just the fact that it's Christopher Walken's going to be
and then
amazing.
Obviously alongside all the returning cast, Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, all returning.
Yeah, Josh Brolin, and that's the ones that we know are going to return. Is like you said, Chalamet, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, and Josh Brolin are like the four that we know are coming back for a fact.
Yep, and so moving on to the next thing. I didn't have a transition, but. Dakota Fanning has been cast in the Equalizer 3 alongside, obviously, Denzel Washington, a reunion from Man on Fire, one of my personal favorite Denzel films. So that's great.
No, it is great.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. It's pretty solid modern day action. And then it's modern day action added with everybody's favorite actor in the world on top of that, which is fun. So, great reunion. Does that mean that Tom Hanks has to get back with Tyler Hoechlin for another, a Road to Perdition-esque movie?
Yeah, I think so. I think that'd be fun.
Hollywood, hire me. I've got these great ideas.
So yeah, that's good. I enjoyed the first two Equalizer movies. I think they're pretty good, pretty fun, pretty unique. Obviously, a kind of a remake of the old Equalizer, but with Denzel Washington. Right. So I think people enjoy those movies, which was a kind of a trend, I think, started by Liam Neeson.
Yeah, yep.
The kind of aging action stars kind of finding their second win with these over-the-top action films with Taken. So it's good to see Denzel back doing the Equalizer.
Hot take, does Bob Odenkirk have the best one with nobody?
I mean, what do you mean by best? I mean, I still like the first Taken movie a lot.
Okay. I think nobody's
probably like better, quote unquote.
It's quote unquote better, but we don't care. We don't care.
I just enjoy Taken. Yeah. It's so nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts.
We got a Stranger Things trailer.
Yes, we did.
Which we talked about a couple weeks ago. We talked about the whole Season 4, Volume 1. So this is obviously the trailer for Volume 2, which is coming out in 3-ish weeks. July 1st.
10 days.
Yeah. 2 weeks. Yeah. Today's the 21st. Jeez. So yeah, we got a good look at this trailer of where this is going, which is all the things that we know are coming. Is a big showdown between Eleven and Vecna. Yeah,
and I told you before, this is Empire Strikes Back. This is exactly what this second half of this season feels like, because there's a bit in the trailer where Papa tells her, you're leaving too early. Like, this is just like Yoda told Luke, you're leaving too early. Like,
Yoda and Ben told him.
Yeah, Ben said, you better not go to Cloud City. I'm going to go to Cloud City. But yeah, she's leaving way too early. She's going to go try to save her friends. And this really does feel like Empire. There's a lot of elements. Like, Vecna kind of does feel like Vader in the way that it's like this person that's quote unquote related to you in a way is kind of, this big bad that has a secret of who they are behind them as well. That's revealed to them as too. So, really interesting perspective, but I just think this season's not going to end well for a lot of characters. I mean, I just think it's fitting that they showed that whole shot of the bus and them all driving the bus. Not all of them are coming back from that. They just aren't.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I agree with you. Yeah, the more you talk about it being kind of analogous to Empire, it makes me wonder a little bit, right? Like, is this going to be the end of Vecna?
I just don't think so. And then the other side of the coin is the Mind Flayer as well, because Dustin even says it, like, Vecna is the 5-star general to them. The Mind Flayer is still the big bad of the Upside Down, and based on what's in Russia, they have a piece of the Mind Flayer, the shadow form of the Mind Flayer, locked up. And they have Demogorgons and Demodogs running around. So what is Russia, like, where are they getting this from? And what's the end goal? That's what the bigger question that we need to ask. Like, why is Vecna doing all of this? And on top of that, is the Mind Flayer still alive to, execute whatever plan? And I guess the plan, based on the end of the trailer with kind of the clouds looming over what seems like the normal part of Hawkins, is this the plan to take over the entire world and to make everything the Upside Down?
Yeah, and I mean, these last 2 episodes are obviously incredibly long in length and going to probably be big in scope.
Right.
So it's going to be real interesting. We talked about it when we talked about the season, that this, if they stick the landing, could possibly be my favorite season of the show. And this just feels important. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, aside from the fact that they're splitting, and we kind of knew when they announced that they were splitting this up that whatever was on the backside of the split was probably going to be pretty momentous, because otherwise why split it up?
Right.
So I'm looking forward to it. Maybe even more so seeing this trailer. There's a lot of intrigue in this trailer. 'Cause like you said, it does feel like maybe this isn't going to be kind of like the conquering hero kind of end of the season that we're so used to in Stranger Things. I don't know. It's interesting. Mm-hmm. So, agreed. Moving on to the MCU, we're getting a Wonder Man show.
Yes, Wonder Man show. Biggest takeaway from this, I'd say, are 2 things. One, the director of Shang-Chi is going to be he's going to be the director on this show.
Yep.
2, Brooklyn Nine-Nine's main writer, I believe, is going to be writing this show. So they're definitely going to play off the comedic element. I'm not going to be surprised if this feels a lot like what She-Hulk's going to feel like, because if you know Wonder Man's kind of comic history, I mean, he was part of the West Coast Avengers. He's kind of like the Hollywood-esque type of person. Mm-hmm. So I really think they're going to play into that big time. Who they get to play Wonder Man is even a bigger question mark, because they're probably going to want somebody with lightning charisma. But I think it kind of would be cool to get somebody that's relatively unknown. But if they get a bigger actor to play that, I think that would be really interesting too. And then the other side to the coin is if you know the comics, it's the Vision and Wanda stuff. That's the thing that's itching in the back of my brain about this is, are they going to try to bring Vision into this just so Wonder Man can give him his brainwaves just like he does in the comics?
That's interesting. Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. I think that might have been a bigger reason why they pushed the show when they did.
Well, coming off the end of kind of Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, there has to be a plan for the Vision, right?
Right.
At some point, you would imagine that, he's going to come back in some shape or form. Mm-hmm. Especially, as we discussed in our Multiverse of Madness review, that it feels like we're prepping for a Wanda redemption run at some point, where she's going to return as she's going to be a hero basically when she returns. Mm-hmm. And you have to imagine that the Vision will play some part in that because that dynamic is so strong. Right. So maybe this is a way to kind of get the Vision back into the fold. Right. But also, like I mentioned in the review, keeping Wanda on ice. You know what I mean? Yeah,
they have bigger, because I think the reason that they switched to Ant-Man in the Marvels is because the express reason we need to set up who our new big bad is going to be. Because I think it was interesting, and we talked about it before, how different Phase 4 feels, because there's a lot of grayness in Phase 4 versus just a general black and white. And it's not even Phase 4 of hero versus villain, or sorry, grayness of hero versus villain. It's more of the grayness of what's happening. And I kind of like that if you think about it like it is an allegory for where the MCU is right now, because nobody knows what's going on. Half the population just came back. We don't know who the Avengers are. We're probably just happy that our family and friends are back from being gone for so long. But there are other threats. And I think because Kevin Feige just said yesterday, I believe it was, that in the next couple of months, we're going to know what the next big Infinity Saga is going to be. Right. I do think that we're going to get the Fantastic Four reveal when that happens. I think we're going to know who the Fantastic Four are, because it's because of the whole Doom, Reed Richards. If you look at Secret Wars, if you start from Hickman's run, it's really a story about the two of them. That's what it really comes down to. So I think they're going to kind of, you're going to get, I do think John Krasinski's just going to be Reed Richards. Fingers crossed, Cillian Murphy's, Doctor Doom. That would be amazing. And then I think we're going to get hey, we're going to do X, Y, Z. And then we're going to be Secret Wars is going to be the last thing we ever do. And then we're out. We're out.
Speaking of beloved cinematic universes, the Sony Spider-Man universe is chugging along, and we got some news this week about Kraven the Hunter, and we're up in arms. Yeah. So
I just don't understand.
He's just Kraven now. Mm-hmm. No longer the Hunter. Yeah.
Kraven Jones.
So Aaron Taylor Johnson, who is obviously playing Kraven, also known from the MCU as Quicksilver, has come out and basically kind of laid out what Kraven's deal is in this solo film, and it's one where he's like an animal guy, which, yeah, to be fair, he's not Kraven the Hunter, but, you know, I think it makes kind of a little bit of sense for, like, the character. Like,
yeah, instead of making him like a straight up villain that just, you know, loves the idea of the hunt, to make him a little bit more like gray, just like they did with Venom and Morbius, instead of just being straight up villains. It's interesting.
Yeah, doesn't mean it's going to be good.
I just don't think it's any harm, any foul. I think people are starting to understand what this Sony universe has to offer, and that's just for laughs and memes and jokes.
The meme-averse.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have much else to say about it.
Me neither.
You know, it's par for the course. I mean, coming off of the whole thing with Morbius and the re-release and the post-credit scene that has been just ridiculed. I don't know.
Me neither.
We're going to see it, and who knows? Are we ever going to get Spider-Man back in this universe? Who knows? Who's to say? But switching gears again, Guy Ritchie is officially tagged to direct the live-action Hercules film.
Yeah, I was actually pretty excited.
Disney.
Yeah, I was actually pretty excited about that as soon as I heard it. I mean, Guy Ritchie, he's got that he's got a really flary style to his filmmaking. I think that's going to be cool for something like Hercules. I think it's an interesting kind of route to take, because you could have gotten one of these, like, you know, it could have been a safe choice. I think Guy Ritchie's like the opposite of a safe choice to do something like that, if that makes sense. So I'm really intrigued to see what we kind of get from this. I mean, the bigger question now is who's going to play Hercules.
Yeah, that is the big question, because Hercules, full disclosure, is my favorite Disney animated film of all time. I don't know why.
Do we count Pixar in like the animated movies, or is it animated as one sect and then
yeah,
Pixar's
I would say
one
animated.
Sect?
I guess kind of its own kind of thing. Because, like, you know, I think animated Disney movies, I think Hercules, I think Aladdin, Mulan, you know, those movies. So, I love Hercules, you know, and yeah, the casting is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it will be. It definitely will be.
I don't know, Taron Egerton?
He would be cool. He would be pretty cool.
Because, like, Hercules, and obviously Disney's Hercules, is not like Hercules. He's kind of like goofy.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's like, you know, overly heroic, you know what I mean? So I think, you know, that could be interesting in live action sense. Yeah. Keep the songs.
Don't take them out. Just because we were up in arm about Joker 2, just keep the songs in.
Keep the songs. Aladdin songs, good. You know? Mulan, no songs. It was all right.
Yeah.
Gotta have the songs. That's all I'm going to say about that. So Top Gun. This feels like the fourth week in a row that we're talking about.
We're going to talk about it every week.
We might, because... Man, it's just racking up the dollars. It's at $800 million now.
$800 million
for a movie
insane.
That is not. It's not Star Wars. It's not Marvel. It's not, you know, Batman. It's Top Gun. It's Tom Cruise, and it is raking in a crazy amount of money.
I mean, I told you about this before. This movie is the absolute definition of timing and the perfect storm. It's the wherewithal to say, hey, we're going to delay this movie. We're going to trust ourselves to delay this movie and still keep people intrigued. And how you do that is having a dynamite first trailer, which they did all the way back in 2020, and being like, hey, this movie's coming out soon. The movie gets delayed. You're like, cool. We're going to give you a second trailer, but at the same time, we're going to promote this movie, and like, we are doing everything practically. We are doing everything ourselves. These actors are going to be put through the ringer for the better, and you know, we're going to showcase, you know, the good power of what Hollywood can be, and like movie making itself. Like I said, Top Gun and Everything Ever All at Once are two of my favorite examples from this year of like the process of movie making. Like it's one of the coolest things that you can ever do, and like Top Gun is just the epitome of that.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it again this past weekend, and I think I told you the theater was like 80% full, which is kind of nuts for a movie that's on its fifth week.
I think it's on the fifth week. It's been a while since that movie came out.
You know, and you know what's getting buried and everything that we're talking about. It's a really freaking good movie.
So good. It is so good.
Like I don't want to stress that part of it enough.
I mean, we talked about it during the review. That third act where he lifts up from the carrier, like you were locked in is an understatement for the feeling that you have.
It's so well constructed. You know, I mentioned a little bit during our review about how I love the way that the second and third acts kind of seamlessly weave together, because the whole second act is basically them drilling the mission.
Yeah.
The mission, like drilling it,
Yeah.
with a bunch of different, story beats interspersed, between Maverick and Rooster, between Maverick not being good enough of a teacher, being replaced, and, building the team. And then the third act, you get the mission, and you're as familiar with the mission as the pilots are, because they drilled it so much in that second act.
You know what's really great about that? This plot is not overly complicated.
Not at all. It's really simple.
This is a very simple plot, but where that big sense of filmmaking comes from is from the performances. Like, you're immediately engaged and back with Maverick from that first mission, because of, you understand that he's this old guard type of person that's on his this is it. This is his last limb. Like, the first act is a perfect call to action, which we'll talk about later when we talk about Star Wars. The second act is the great, this is what we need to do. We're going to throw our obstacles and we're going to get our heroes down to the lowest. And the third act is the great, final battle, like, wherewithal, toughness, the moral mission, and the moral message of the movie, all encompassed into just one of the best movies that I've seen this year and in the last couple of years, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that Oscar buzz is going to be real interesting for Top Gun,
really
because
will be.
people bag on about how Oscar-worthy films, they don't bring in any money, so like they're missing that aspect of like what makes a good movie, and that should kind of play a part in it. Honestly, is this movie getting out, getting people to see it? This movie kind of has both those things in spades, I would argue. I mean, the money part is not arguable. That's concrete. But like it being an Oscar-worthy kind of just solid movie, I think it is that, to be perfectly honest with you. So, I think it could be one of those interesting movies where that maybe doesn't get any... Not saying Tom Cruise doesn't deserve a Best Actor kind of nom for this, but he might not get one. But I think you could argue that Top Gun could be a Best Picture nominee.
I agree.
Come Oscars season.
I agree. This is like, I think people underestimate the term Best Picture, or vice versa. They overestimate what it truly means. And I mean, and I think also it's such a broad scope. It's not just this, airtight knit thing. It very much is a broad thing. I mean, how is a movie like Dune the same as a movie like Goodfellas? Like, they're vastly different movies, but there's a reason that they get nominated for these awards, and that's just the beauty of filmmaking, in my opinion. It's like this multiverse that we travel, that we get to live the lives of all these characters.
Yeah, I just think, any way you slice it, this movie kind of has that feel to it, So moving on, some surprising news. So HBO, just out of the blue, like at a random time of night, was like, "Hey guys, we're doing a Game of Thrones sequel show about Jon Snow." What?
Give the people what they want.
You know what? Yeah, give the people what they want.
Give the people more Kit Harington.
So yeah, Kit Harington is going to be back as Jon Snow. We don't know anything other than that. We don't know when it's going to be set. We don't know who else is going to be in it. We don't know who's doing it. We just know that this is happening. And it's real interesting to me, because the way Game of Thrones ended, how you feel about it aside, which, I mean, that's part of it, but it ended really kind of tightly in terms of, it felt like, of all the characters who were left, it was kind of like the end of it.
It was so deliberate in the execution of what the final season was going to be. So I definitely get that.
Sansa Stark rules the North. Bran Stark rules everything else. Arya Stark went off to adventure the world, and Jon Snow went back beyond the wall. And that's it. That's where the show ends. So I don't know where this sequel show could even pick up for Jon. Like, is it going to be just Jon Snow and Adventures Beyond the Wall? Like, that's not even a Beyond the Wall threat anymore, because, spoiler alert, for season 8 of Game of Thrones, the White Walkers were also dealt with in Game of Thrones. So there's no more...
You talk about when Arya Stark hit that last second game-winning shot?
There's no... I mean, they're going to have to create an antagonist, because the wall's been broken. There's harmony between the Night's Watch and the Wildlings. Jon is ruling the North, or ruling beyond the wall, excuse me, but I don't know where the show goes. I don't know where it takes place. The only thing I can imagine is they set it, maybe years in the future from when Game of Thrones ended, and there's some sort of call to action for Jon to come back to Westeros. That's the only thing I can think of that they could do. unless they come up with some magic-y thing.
I think they're gonna kind of combine it, because you also got to think we're about to get House of Dragon. So I think the same way that the Mandalorian kind of played into the movies in that one week, where what was it? Where the Rise of Skywalker and the Mandalorian had the episode, and they had to fake the thing with Grogu, the healing, just to make sure it was ready for the literally later in the week when the movie came out.
Right.
I think they're gonna do some combination of that, where it's like they're gonna play on the fact that the House of Dragon, like some elements, and then play it back into what's going on with Jon Snow. And I think a good thing is now they got a little bit of free reign, if I'm being honest, because now you don't really have to go off of anything. I think that's a very, very nice place to play.
Or it could be a very dangerous thing if you ask people who watched season 8.
However, we come for the Game of Thrones, but we stay for Kit Harington.
Yeah, I mean, this is his wheelhouse.
Is he about to have his Pedro Pascal, Andrew Garfield year? Because he's going to literally be Black Knight within the next 2 years, and he's also going to be Jon Snow again. He just needs like a really good movie to really cap off the big three. Yeah, that's what he needs.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm intrigued. You got me interested.
Mm-hmm. You got me. We
got a first look at Armas as Marilyn Monroe in the Netflix movie Blonde, based on the Joyce Carol Oates novel.
Yeah, I'm still a film bro at the end of the day. I am really liking some of the stuff that Netflix has given to us in terms of in terms of the film realm. I mean, we've gotten what have we gotten? We've gotten it's funny. I was scrolling through TikTok, and you know what's a movie I like? The King. Have you ever seen The King with Timothée Chalamet? About King Henry VIII? I like that movie. I think it's a really well shot movie. I think it's this, I can't remember who, it was somebody that had something to do with one of the anthology movies for Star Wars. I can't remember if it was Solo or Rogue One. Did some stuff on that, but I love when they kind of get into this very nitty gritty, like, they literally let some people play. That's what I love. Like, don't do the Netflix, Big Brother thing. Let me live for a little bit. And I think Ana de Armas I think she's only 33, and she's one of like the biggest stars in the world. Like, she's getting up there to like the Margot Robbie status of women in Hollywood. So I think that's a great casting. Like, she kind of is like, I mean, if you want to really get into it, I guess you can say that Margot Robbie is like the modern day, like in terms of like Hollywood Marilyn, like just right now, like at this moment right now, she's like the top dog if you think about it. But Ana de Armas is like right behind her, and I think she's a great choice for her to play Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, the trailer is really intoxicating.
Yeah, it is. It just puts you in a trance of what life was like in the 40s and 50s, and I think it just looks incredible.
Yeah. Speaking of looking incredible, Lord of the Rings. We got a first look at the orcs in the Lord of the Rings Amazon Prime show, Rings of Power. They look like orcs. Mm-hmm. I feel like every time we talk about this Lord of the Rings show, that's like the conclusion. We're like, yep, looks like Lord of the Rings.
That's all you need to do.
They look a little more like kind of primal than the Lord of the Rings orcs, which makes sense because this takes place before Lord of the Rings, and takes place before The Hobbit and all that. So makes sense that they look more kind of primal, more kind of feral, and I think it's a good look. I mean, I think the production value of the show looks incredibly high, and I'm excited for it. We haven't gotten much from it other than that Super Bowl teaser trailer and then just a couple of still images, and that's really all you got. But that's really all you need when you have, you talk about the cornerstones of fandom. Lord of the Rings is right up there with everything else.
It really is.
I'm really looking forward to that. And then our last bit of news, my personal favorite bit of news. We got some news out of the gaming world. So Square Enix finally unveiled the second part of Final Fantasy VII Remake, titled Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which puts to rest all of the theories that Remake was the title of a remade Final Fantasy VII, and Remake was actually the plot. So we got a little bit of, not gameplay, we got a little bit of walking and talking. We got some voiceovers, and, just one of those things, man. You talk about pillars of fandom in terms of gaming. Nothing, it's Mario Brothers, it's, Sonic, it's Metal Gear Solid, it's Pokemon, it's Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII in particular is one of the biggest gaming franchises of all time. I mean, the remake thing has been probably 18 or so years in the making, and they finally unveiled it in 2020 to near critical acclaim, and they've announced that Rebirth will be the second installment in a trilogy. The producer of the game, has directly referenced, not in name, but has referenced that this will be the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy.
A lot of Empire Strikes Back today for us.
Yeah, this was directly referenced by saying, sequels, in a trilogy, in successful sequels follow kind of the pattern of one particular famous film franchise, I believe is how he worded it, which is a not so subtle allusion to Empire Strikes Back, in which, the theme of the characters being at their lowest moments. And when you look at the story of the original Final Fantasy VII, there is there's a sequence of events in which the characters are at their lowest, including the death of one character and then kind of where the whole kind of group comes crashing down to their lowest moment. So that's what I'm expecting out of this. And then this game is coming out next winter. So 2023 is shaping up, 2023 and early 2024 shaping up to be absolutely an incredible year for Sony and for PlayStation.
What a great time to love fandom as a whole. We're about to get the fourth Thor movie in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
What did we watch? We watched a new Dune movie last year. Like,
people are leaning into it, man.
The guy that was in Twilight played Batman.
Yeah, we're leaning into the fandoms now. Just anything, anywhere you look.
It's everywhere.
Some people might say it's ruining things. I say, we're getting better at it.
Yeah. I think we're starting to marry the two a little bit more, if you ask me.
We're starting to diversify.
Yeah.
Everything is kind of just, we're attacking a whole bunch of different avenues, which I think is a good thing. Because, Marvel for the longest time did kind of have a stranglehold, and still does, let's be honest. But
yeah, that theater's going to be packed in a week.
Yeah,
or 2 weeks. It's going to be absolutely packed.
You're seeing all these other kind of companies kind of embracing what they have also, which I think is really cool. So you want to talk some Star Wars, or?
I think it's time.
Yeah, so, we don't really have a big kind of hard structure for what we're going to do with this. It was just kind
Thanks a lot, Jurassic World.
Well, it's not Jurassic World's fault.
It is Jurassic World's
It's our fault.
It's not. It's their fault for not being a good movie.
Be more inspiring, Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Or give me some memes.
Give me some memes.
You got some memes?
I don't have any memes for this one. There's usually memes if the movie's not great. But who are we to judge? We haven't seen the movie yet. We will at some point. And we'll add it to the non-main fandom list of reviews that we've had. What do we got? We've had Dune. We've had No Time to Die. We've had Matrix. Matrix was fun.
Matrix was fun.
I got really really meta on that episode. I think I broke the record for saying meta in a given space. I did the same thing as Scarlet Witch in WandaVision. He said only the person that says meta enough times controls the space.
Man, Matrix was a thing that happened.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was nuts.
That was nuts.
What if Keanu Reeves, but he developed the Matrix?
Yeah.
The Merovingian was back.
The Merovingian was back.
All right, let's talk about Star Wars. So, we're basically going to talk about, what are we talking about? Movies, moments, characters?
So I think the way that we kind of broke it down was some of our favorite moments. I think we're just going to go, I have mine movie to movie. I just have one moment from every movie and every season of the shows that we've gotten so far. I do have one in Obi-Wan, and we'll give a quick spoiler before I say it, because we are going to talk about that next week. And then just one moment from the animated, one moment from, I think I picked one from Force Unleashed and one from Fallen Order, and then I got one, I think that's it, and then we're gonna end with our top 3 favorite Star Wars characters and our top 3 favorite Star Wars movies.
Cool. All right. So
these episodes are always great.
Yeah, I enjoy these a lot.
Yeah.
So you want to just hit, what do you want to hit first? The moments?
Yeah, let's go through the moments, because I think we should save the big, what our favorite stuff from these things that kind of formulated our lives are.
Yeah. So, all right, we're just gonna go in order, movie to movie.
Yeah, let's go in let's go in chronological. No, I really want to talk about the original trilogy last.
Okay.
So let's go 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, so I guess we'll start with Force Awakens then. Mm-hmm. So
is it Finn yelling Rey every 5 minutes?
Nope, it's not that. For me, it is this is going to sound so like Star Wars idiot of me, but Han and Chewie walking onto the Millennium Falcon. It's a movie. It's a moment from the trailer, but in the movie itself is just a magical moment. Seeing Harrison Ford begrudgingly back as Han Solo, and after 30 years after Return of the Jedi, is just a moment that you can't really replicate. This Force Awakens, is kind of the movie that started this kind of renaissance of resurrecting old film characters and franchises.
It really did. That was it.
And this was the one that people were waiting for, seeing that original, Luke, Leia, and Han back. We don't see Luke a lot in Force Awakens,
right.
but, seeing Han back, and he gets a lot to do in Force Awakens. So that moment for me really, really hit home.
No, I like The Force Awakens. I'm sorry. I kind of like this movie. The biggest reason why I like this movie is Kylo Ren. I think he's one of the most interesting antagonists and dynamic antagonists that we've gotten in like the recency of movies coming out. He's really versatile in the way that he kind of portrays himself. He's angsty, but in my opinion, he's not annoyingly angsty. It's I think it's understandable that you got to think his grandfather was the biggest bad there'd ever been. Like, you have some shoes to fill. And on top of that, his uncle is Luke Skywalker on top of that. Like, you have some big, you have two paths that you were supposed to take, and all that pressure really cracked him. And I think it shows in his lightsaber itself. The kyber crystal is notoriously cracked. That's why his lightsaber looks the way it does. And I think the design's pretty cool. Maybe not when he removes the hood sometimes. It's kind of he looks like he has the little chop cut that girls have. But no, I love the introduction right away.
Is wonderful.
Catches the blaster right out of midair. Oscar Isaac's Oscar Isaac, because then he just looks at him. He's like, "You gonna talk first? Am I gonna talk first? Who's gonna talk first?"
So what's your moment?
Oh, I should probably talk. I should talk about my moment, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, I got you. You know what I wrote here? I just realized I just put Kylo Ren moments in here, so I guess I was right. So any moment, I think I was telling you before, it's just the little moments that really show you the dedication that he has. Like when he gets shot with the blaster at the end, he's just hitting himself in the stomach, like just showing like how much he really wants this girl gone, because this is the only person that might be able to upend everything they've been doing.
Until he doesn't want her gone.
Nah, he wants her.
Yeah, we'll talk about that maybe in the next one. Last Jedi?
No, yes. Yeah.
And maybe a little bit more for the last one?
Yeah, a lot of more for the last one.
So, The Last Jedi. Divisive, isn't it?
Dude, I mean, this movie broke everything.
Oh, man. Definitely the most divisive entry into the Star Wars franchise.
I don't think there's an if and or but about that. It really is.
A lot of people really like this movie, and a lot of people really hate this movie.
There's no in-betweeners.
I'm kind of.
Are we the in-betweeners?
I'm an in-betweener on this. I think it's fine.
I think it's fine too. It's the best looking It's the best looking Skywalker saga movie, because I still think the best looking Star Wars movie we've ever gotten is Rogue One. Yeah. That movie is gorgeous.
As for, my favorite moment in that movie, I mean, again, this is I hate to say this. It's the throne room scene. Mm-hmm. No, it just is. That
throne room scene is brilliant.
It's not just in the sequel trilogy, in all of Star Wars, it's one of the best action combat sequences in the entire saga, in my opinion. It, however you feel about Rey, however you feel about Kylo Ren, that moment that they kind of link up together is a legitimately great moment.
No, it is.
And I think Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver are both great in that movie.
No, they are.
Together.
Yeah. It's just Adam Driver, like you just said, his arc that he had, he's so good as Kylo Ren. Like, it's an incredible casting, because he holds that, like, anger that Anakin, that Hayden Christensen used to hold on, but he also has like he has these subtle small moments that Luke would have, like I think a little bit of an earlier Luke would have, but he does have those small moments. It's like he's like a good mixture he's the sum of all of his parts. He's very brash sometimes, like Han was, like he's very rebellious like Leia was. Like he really is the makeup of everybody that came before him.
Yeah, it's a very, very no strings on me moment in that throne room, when kind of like
he's Homelander.
This is where the sequel trilogy it's weird. It kind of falls apart here, because, Force Awakens establishes one thing about the First Order, about Supreme Leader Snoke, about Kylo Ren, what that dynamic is, what what or who Rey is, and then The Last Jedi just upends all that. You know, Snoke is dispatched of, Kylo Ren, you know, is he turning into a good guy? Yeah. And then by the end of the movie, like, he's like a bigger bad than he even was in The Force Awakens. So like his motivations are kind of all over the place. So I do understand the criticisms of The Last Jedi, but I don't think it's a criticism of Rian Johnson per se. I think it's a criticism of just the structure of that, you know, of Lucasfilms / Disney as a whole for not having a 3-movie vision in place, because they just let these guys just do whatever they want.
Yeah, and it really is crazy to think that J.J. Abrams just didn't see the trilogy through. Like, it really is just such an...
And then wasn't supposed to be doing the third one.
No, he wasn't.
And then all of a sudden he's doing the third one.
They gave him the "you up" text when the third one started falling apart. They said, "Hey, man."
Yeah, it's so crazy to me. So a lot of people lay the blame at Rian Johnson. I don't agree with that, because like I said, what do you want me to do? Like, they weren't like sharing notes about like, hey, this is where because J.J. Abrams didn't see the vision for 2 more movies, because what does he care? He's only doing the one. Right. He's gonna do his movie,
and that was the first mistake.
Yeah, absolutely.
As much as not as much, it's not my favorite movie or my favorite Star Wars movies, but as much as, you know, there's a lot of elements out of the Force Awakens that I admire, I don't know whose idea was it to say, all right, we're going to get JJ to start, and then we're going to get somebody else. It's just
2 other guys.
Yeah.
Because say what you want about the prequels, but like, at least it was George Lucas through and through. Right. Like, it was his thing.
Right.
So what's your Last Jedi moment?
It's gotta be the whole dome maneuver.
Controversial.
What did I tell you? I said, well, not the lead up, because I think that's one of the worst elements of the movie, is the fact that they had a chase sequence that kind of didn't mean anything. It didn't need to mean, correct me if I'm wrong, the movie doesn't change if she tells Poe the plan, right?
Probably not.
The movie's the same. Probably a little faster, if I'm being honest. What a innovative way to pad time and, you know, work around not having Luke and Rey scenes. But yeah, I just don't see the need for having that. But the payoff that we get for it is absolutely amazing. An incredible sacrifice, and one of the greatest visuals we've seen from Star Wars, where no sound, she just annihilates an entire fleet. Yeah. Just incredible.
And Laura Dern.
Yeah, Laura Dern's the best.
Just great and everything.
Yeah.
So your favorite moment is not the casino thing?
Nope.
Casino sequence?
Nope.
It's not.
You know what's funny? They hyped that thing in the trailers, and they hyped that thing up like it was going to be one of the greatest. Nothing. It meant not a thing.
Justice for John Boyega.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that. I don't really want to, but we'll get into it.
Yeah, it's not great. Not great.
Just make him a Jedi. Just that was the thing you were. How else would he have been the only one that got woken up?
It's not great.
Just have him be a Jedi.
It's not what else happens in Last Jedi that I can say for comical effect.
I actually like the crate. The crate stuff is cool.
Crate stuff is cool.
Yeah, like I said, that's one of the best looking Star Wars movies that we've seen. It's incredible.
And I don't hate the Luke Skywalker bit. I don't know.
So many people do. I love the meme part is the more.
Well, yeah, but people are like, you don't get to see Luke at his most powerful. Is it not ridiculously powerful to believably project yourself across the universe? Mm-hmm. Is that not powerful AF, as the kids say?
Probably the most powerful. Obi-Wan just died.
Like, he fooled another Jedi.
Yeah, he did.
Like, I understand you wanted this big hero duel between Kylo and Luke, but you were never going to get that.
No.
Like, that wasn't the point of this whole trilogy, was to give you that.
You needed to have the payoff emotionally, not necessarily physically.
Right.
He needed to deal with his uncle.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to mirror what happened in Episode 4. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. All right. Rise of Skywalker.
What a picture. Babu Frick.
Babu Frick.
They should have called this The Rise of Babu Frick.
Did I not think about this hard enough? I think I just memed myself in saying Babu Frick.
You memed yourself into a corner.
I think I memed myself into saying
both picked
Babu Frick was my favorite moment.
That's the only way to consume this movie.
And not thinking of an actual good moment.
Doesn't matter. That minute and 30 seconds Babu Frick's on screen it's whatever Martin Scorsese said, it's cinema. I
like the end bit. Not the end bit with Rey on Tatooine, but like the end bit with her and Kylo Ren.
What do you mean you don't like the bit with Rey on Tatooine? Do you want to get into you want to talk about sand planets? I know you had a lot of thoughts on sand planets.
They're the best.
No, they're not.
Jakku, Tatooine, the other one.
There's only one good thing that these sand planets have, and that's the rising action of the movie. That's it.
Maybe that's where Rise of Skywalker screwed up. They put the Tatooine bit at the end.
Yeah, you got to put it at the beginning. Much better. Makes for a better movie.
No, but I like the end bit with Kylo Ren and Rey, even though I think it should have probably ended a bit differently.
Yeah, maybe they shouldn't have kissed.
Maybe they shouldn't have kissed. Maybe Kylo Ren should have stayed alive.
Can I go off for a second?
Yeah, sure.
So this is my biggest thing that I've always said, and I think it would have been great. It possibly would have saved that franchise maybe a little bit. Think of the prospect of him staying alive. That would have been
big
one
prospects.
Of the, yeah, would have been one
pros. Adam Driver's back.
Adam Driver's back. He could have been an old man Adam Driver, but more importantly, the fact that he still could have, went back to the Jedi way would have been a really good play on the whole thing. Like,
I thought seeing Force Awakens for the first time, when I walked out of the theater, I went, they're going to do the reverse Anakin thing with Kylo Ren, where his arc is going to be start as a bad guy, end as a good guy. Mm-hmm. I thought that's what, and then they were doing it. Yeah, they were doing it in Rise of Skywalker. I'm like, they're doing it. They're doing the thing.
Yeah.
He got cool all of a sudden, which is going to segue into probably your favorite moment.
Yes, it is.
He got like a personality all of a sudden.
Yeah, he did.
Like the Han Solo came out of him when he turned good.
It really did. The hair was flowing. It was great. So my favorite bit is, there's this thing that they set up in episode 8 where Rey and Ben Solo are kind of dyads in the Force. They introduce this new
two
theme.
peas in a pod.
Yeah, so they're basically two sides of the Force. It's the whole idea, you need balance in the Force. And
Stronger together.
Yeah, they're two sides. So it's like, it's the whole Mace Windu ideal too. Like, it's not the fact that I still am a Jedi, but it's like Force isn't about, the good guys reigning or the bad guys reigning. There needs to be balance at all times. That's just a great way to get new films out. But the whole thing is, so they're kind of connected, and you find out that it's not only like a Force connection that you can just talk to each other, like they can actually pass physical objects.
Which I like that bit.
Yeah,
in the Last Jedi,
interesting.
Where they can communicate to each other.
Yeah, and then they go further in The Rise of Skywalker where it's physical objects can, transfer. So
how? Who's to say?
Who
the
cares?
Force.
Yeah, the Force.
That's not how the Force works.
It's not how any of this works. So we get to the end of, 9. Kylo Ren's doing his thing. He's back to being Ben Solo. Cool. He's running up that hill. Literally on what planet are they on? Who cares, man?
I don't remember the name of it.
Exegol.
That's it?
Yeah, they're on Exegol.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Oh, God.
That's not your best bit?
Nope. I just know Oscar Isaac read the script and he looked down and he looked up and he looked down and he looked up and he was like, we're doing this, guys. And then he's like, I'm never making a Star Wars movie. He immediately called Kevin Feige. He's just like, hey, man.
I told you what my theory on that was. That it was just stage direction and it got accidentally put in the script. He looked down and he didn't see the brackets and it just said somehow Palpatine returned and he just read it.
Yep.
And they were like, good, done. He's like, wait, that was it? They're like, that was it.
That was it. We're under a time limit on this movie. We got to get this out. So, yeah, there's a great moment where...
Who does he run into? Say it. Say their names.
Go ahead, you say it.
The Knights of Ren.
The Knights of Ren.
All your favorites are back. Axe Guy.
Axe Guy.
Gun Guy.
The other Axe Guy. So...
The best characters.
Nobody cares about the Knights of Ren.
What?
You're the only person on Earth. Not even the people.
This is the big payoff to the Knights of Ren. Is when Kylo Ren fights the Knights of Ren.
Yeah. So basically, Rey goes to strike down Palpatine because you find out at the end that give me one of your famous dun dun duns.
Dun dun dun.
You find out that Rey is Palpatine's granddaughter. I can't. This movie
is nuts.
This movie's insane. Oh, wow.
And Palpatine's going back to the well.
Yeah.
Strike me down because you need to be... Blah.
Yeah, you're going to become me if you strike me down.
You know how Palpatine is? Blah.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah. So cool. Alright, so anyway, she's about to strike him down. She puts the lightsaber behind her back and she takes her hand out. Boom, lightsaber's gone.
Boom, you looking for this?
Yeah, and then Kylo Ren or Ben Solo gives the famous Rhodey line from Age of Ultron. Boom, you looking for this? And this is my favorite moment in this entire trilogy. Ben Solo's holding the lightsaber and that's Anakin's lightsaber, right?
Yes.
He's holding Anakin's lightsaber, and it's gonna be this epic moment. And then he just looks at all the Knights of Ren, and he just gives the most amazing shrug, and then he launches into one of the greatest just moves of all time, and just starts chopping them all up. That shrug is just glorious.
It's great.
He's like,
it's one of the coolest moments in the entire movie.
Oh my god! He's like, well, I have this now, so that's cool.
Well, I'm gonna kill you now.
Yep. Well, you guys joined the wrong side.
You guys should have gotten more character in your arcs.
Yeah.
And then he dies. Fuck, man. It's terrible.
Yeah. Why would you kill? Imagine him trying to train other Jedi and being like, weren't you Kylo Ren? Weren't you the biggest bad of the big bads?
There's so many things they could have done. So many things. But they kissed and then he dies.
There were 1 million Star Destroyers and somehow the good guys won.
Ah!
Yeah, he electrocuted all the ships and all the avionics were going haywire.
Oh, alright, let's talk about the prequels.
Oh, we don't hate the sequels.
There's some. This is the fun of Star Wars. There's some really just goofy bits.
And you know what? We're gonna talk about the sequel or the prequels. Listen, the prequels are also stupid, and I don't think that people give it enough, noise to that.
They did, and then they got retconned into all of a sudden being good.
However, the prequels have something that you can't achieve, and it's story structure.
Ewan McGregor.
That's one. Yeah.
Go ahead about story structure. Go ahead.
Well, Ewan McGregor's my story structure now. Never mind.
That's all you need.
That's all you need.
Who needs a story when you have Ewan McGregor?
I told you he's the best actor in the prequel trilogies, and it's not close. I can't say that. Don't cancel me, guys. I know some movies and acting. Don't say that.
Sir Christopher Lee's in these movies.
He is. Twice the prize, double the fall.
So Phantom Menace. I stepped on this last week when I talked about this movie. My favorite moment is it's Darth Maul on Naboo when he is standing there. He's just standing there menacingly.
Yep. I love how he just comes into frame when Sidious is sitting down and he just walks right up and he just crosses his arms.
Yeah, the door opens, he's in the hood, Duel of the Fates ramps up, the choir pipes up, he's just standing there in his hood, Qui-Gon's like, we'll handle this.
Yep.
Famous last words.
All-time famous last words.
And he unhoods himself. This is the first time you see him with the horns and the makeup, and it's the trailer moment where he pulls the lightsaber down and then shing, and then shing, and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are like, what?
Why can't we do that? We didn't get a new update.
So freaking cool, man. It encapsulates why the prequels were made, because we just want some cool lightsaber fights, man. And damn it, we're going to give you one. And it cues into, what's a pretty great lightsaber fight between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Maul. God, I love that scene so much. It's so good.
That Duel of the Fates is one of the great... Imagine it's so good of a theme they used it for the trailer for the show that was supposed to just light this fandom on fire.
And it did.
It did. Not for the reasons I was thinking it would.
Yeah, maybe like a house on fire, maybe.
Yeah. It's like that scene from Community where Donald Glover walks in with the pizzas and everything's on fire.
That's me. I'm the guy with the pizza.
Yeah.
I logged on Twitter after Obi-Wan and I'm like, wait a second. People hate this?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. Phantom Menace, what's your favorite moment?
I think it's the death of Qui-Gon Jinn and what it means. Hey man, don't laugh. This is serious. I'm trying to take it seriously, and you laughed at me when I told you before we hopped on that was going to be my moment. If I'm to be funny for a second, it's because the fact that Qui-Gon ruined everything. Qui-Gon started the Empire, if you really want to get into it. He was willing to cheat in a dice game, but he wasn't willing to take Shmi Skywalker to be, not a slave. And that really just ignited Anakin to killing all those Tusken Raiders, which ignited him to being Darth Vader, which igniting him to the Empire that, it's all domino effect. Because Liam Neeson just needed to go save his daughter from Europe and Taken, as you alluded to earlier, so he was busy.
I just think it's funny, the framing. My favorite moment is when Qui-Gon Jinn dies. Good, I'm glad he's dead.
But no, the real reason it's my favorite, it's alluding to the fact I think Ewan McGregor is the best actor in this trilogy. Let me rephrase, he gives the best performance in this trilogy, in my opinion. It's that no that he screams is so genuine, like he feels it, like, and then it's his own call to action now, because not only does it's the epitome of like if people unfortunately lost like a father, a mother, like a parent, and then they need to take care of their younger siblings. This is what this feels like. Now he needs to take care of this kid on top of himself also needing to be a Jedi Master, and it's everything was expedited at that moment, and
you're training the Chosen One.
You're training the Chosen One on top. There's so many little aspects that go into this arc that Obi-Wan gets set on. I saw this interesting video from Screen Rant that or Screen Crush that said that Obi-Wan has the most important arc in the entire Skywalker trilogy.
I don't think that's wrong.
It's definitely integral because he trained the Chosen One, he failed the Chosen One, and then he set his son on the path to, try to atone for the sins of the father, much like Oliver Queen.
Oh, Qui-Gon. They warned you.
They warned you.
They definitely warned you.
I told you, I think a really cool thing that should have happened, if I'm to, fan theory it out, is Anakin should have been Qui-Gon's secret son that he didn't know that he had, because that would have been, it would have just led more to, like, the fact that, like, Qui-Gon is so set on this. Like, he's so set that this kid needs to be the one. Like, that he needs to be trained as a Jedi even though he's 10 years old. Like, that would have been freaking cool.
Yeah. Attack of the Clones.
There's not a lot.
Look. The fun one for me is Mace Windu just saying, "This party's over." I don't know. I enjoyed that bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to see Mace Windu do some stuff.
Yeah, finally.
Attack of the Clones,
you see him and Yoda both do some stuff.
Yeah. But honestly, one of my favorite bits is the solo duel between Anakin and Dooku after Obi-Wan is kind of dispatched, and Anakin takes, both his lightsaber and the green lightsaber that he picked up on the battlefield, and him and Dooku have a nice little fight in the dark. It's pretty good. These prequel movies are kind of more built upon the lightsaber stuff than the original trilogy, which, fine.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't really have the technology that you had to kind of pull that off in the 70s and 80s versus now, so.
Right, so, and you get, you got big guy in a plotting suit fighting Mark Hamill, But yeah, I like that Dooku fight a lot. Dooku's an interesting character. He's kind of like this weird kind of like Three Musketeers-esque kind of character.
I mean, they played into Christopher Lee's real life training as well.
Yeah,
which
the way
I think
he
is
fights
cool.
is he fights like a fencer,
right?
Which is very cool.
Yeah.
The lightsaber design is really cool on Dooku's lightsaber.
The hilt is really curved hilt is iconic,
and I just like that. I like that fight because it's in the dark. It evokes kind of Return of the Jedi a little bit with the darkness, and the lightsabers kind of illuminating the darkness. And then Anakin gets his hand chopped off, which, put the tally 1 for Anakin losing limbs. So what's your
1 down, 3 to go?
What's your favorite Attack of the Clones moment?
I gotta say, it's definitely the one that follows. It's Dooku versus Yoda. I think it's again, Yoda gets to do some stuff. Fine, and the most important thing about that is we keep hearing things, and that holds over from the original trilogy too. We keep hearing that this Yoda guy can do some stuff, but we never know what the stuff is, because we know, because Anakin even says it in episode 3, like, I'm gonna become, like, I want the wisdom of, Master Yoda, and I also want the power of Master Windu. Like, we've seen the wisdom, but I gotta see you throw down, and throw down does he, because he is an issue.
So I see the criticism of that scene is, like, Yoda is, like, above what he does in Attack of the Clones. Where do you fall in that regard? That, like, he shouldn't be, like, flipping around doing lightsaber stuff.
I say it's Star Wars, calm down.
Right. Correct answer. That's the theme of this whole episode.
We have a series where there's a big giant bear that follows them around and that speaks in code and people can understand him. I think Yoda being able to jump a little higher than people is fine.
Yeah, I agree. That, and the end bit is pretty good of Attack of the Clones, whereas the rest of the movie, not that great. But the end bit's pretty good. Revenge of the Sith. We don't have to talk a ton about this because we did a whole episode on Revenge of the Sith last week. This is
where the fun begins.
Yes. My favorite moment from Revenge of the Sith, I think it's Order 66. It's a very harrowing sequence of events culminating with Anakin storming the Jedi Temple with the clones behind him. He took my bit. Yeah, Anakin storming the Jedi Temple it'd be super easy for me to say the end bit is the best bit, but I wanted to kind of go outside that.
Me too.
And so Order 66 and that sequence of events of the Jedi being debilitated is crazy.
I think what's the biggest piece of Star Wars. Like, people don't really realize, like, it's what the snap did to the MCU is what Order 66 did for Star Wars. Like, every piece of Star Wars content is either before Order 66 or after, or like, it is really the cusp of what happens. Like, everything leads up to Order 66, and then it's the fallout for the rest of all of the history of Star Wars, because it's the peacekeeping force was utterly upended, and this, this evil that you have thought you'd had destroyed for thousands of years finally came back, and then came back with purpose and vengeance. And like I said, it's the same thing for the MCU. Everything, because everybody's like, oh, it's after snap. I mean, everything before the snap led up to that. Everything that happened before, it was all lead up to that. The whole predication of the MCU was finding the Infinity Stones for the first 23 movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what that was the whole point, was to get to that snap, to get Thanos to get the stone. Same thing here. This was all meant so that Order 66 can be executed. The plan was, it's currently like, the plan was just to make sure all the Jedi were killed. It was a bonus to get Anakin Skywalker to be Darth Vader on top of that for Palpatine.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's the opening for me.
Yeah, you talked about that last week.
Yeah.
The opening.
That opening's
it's great. It's really great.
It's great. It's fun. It's fast.
It's one of the best openings in the entire saga is the openings of Revenge of the Sith.
It's loud. It's big.
It immediately
budget,
establishes the continued dynamic between Anakin and Obi-Wan. And when you try to think about the end of the movie with the beginning of the movie in mind, it makes it even more tragic. These two were as close as brothers, and now they, find themselves not only on opposite sides, but in Anakin's case, hates Obi-Wan with like a burning passion. And it's just really sad to see. We talked about it a little last week, like watching Revenge of the Sith, you want Anakin to be doing anything besides what he's doing. Right. Because you care about that character, and, to see obviously where he ends up is the tragedy.
Agreed.
So let's move on to the original trilogy. Star Wars: A New Hope.
It's my favorite Star Wars movie. And okay. I really love Empire. I really love Empire. I mean, it's crazy, because I watched Empire over the last, 2 weeks, since we've been such on a Star Wars kick. And I might be with you now. Empire might be my favorite Star Wars movie, but if I'm to talk to myself from 3 weeks ago, it still is A New Hope, because it is one of the classic examples in movies of the hero journey, like the execution of the beginning of the hero's journey. And it's also a great example of how to make your hero not perfect, immediately not a perfect person, because Luke Skywalker is far from perfect. He's young. He's so... He's just a farm boy. Like, that's the whole thing. And I think it's such a great theme that, like, the farm boy would grow up to be the one that would save the entire galaxy. Yeah. But you don't get there without the beginning. Yeah. And my favorite moment, and I think it's probably my favorite, like, moment / shot in all of Star Wars, is the twin sons, because it is the call to action. Like, just Luke, just with John Williams' score playing in the background of Luke just looking out at the twin sons, seeing how vast the universe is. He understands that I know the true call to action was, Uncle Owen and Aunt Peru being killed, but that's my call to action of him seeing the twin sons and seeing, like, this universe is large. Like, there is so much that I can do here and so much good I can have. I mean, he probably didn't even think that in the moment, but thinking about it retroactively, that's where it led to. So,
my favorite moment is the bit where Ben chops off that guy's arm in the bar, because it's clearly the signs of an old man who just doesn't care anymore. Yeah, right. He's like, I'm not, your arm's off. Yeah. No, but seriously, my favorite moment is actually Ben Kenobi related. It's the sacrifice of Ben Kenobi in the duel with Vader. It's a very powerful moment, because it we talked about Obi-Wan's journey, and in retrospect, Obi-Wan's journey Obi-Wan's journey in the prequels and subsequently the Obi-Wan show really heightens this moment for me, because it's the culmination of Obi-Wan's journey. It's almost like Obi-Wan's redemption in a weird way, because, as Obi-Wan, the show explores, he feels a lot of personal responsibility and a lot of guilt for what Vader has become, and that's a moment to me that's gotten stronger with all these subsequent materials, because you feel that Obi-Wan is redeeming himself for Vader by basically passing the buck to Luke. Like, I have to do this to help Luke become what I thought Anakin
what I thought you would become. This is what you're truly were supposed to meant to be.
So Obi-Wan's sacrifice is, and just great mannerism, facial acting by Alec Guinness right up until the end, where he puts the lightsaber up, and he kind of like gives like Luke a look, like, kind of like that look, like, I know what's about to happen is going to be really traumatic for you, but like, everything's going to be okay. Like, I'm always going to be with you. Even if you don't see that now. Yeah.
There's got to be such a sense for Obi-Wan as well, for, a sigh of relief, man. He had been through so much since Qui-Gon died up until that point. Where
that's what I mean about, the prequels and everything heightening that moment.
The prequels in the original trilogy, they bounce so well off of each other. They really do. Even if, a lot of elements of the prequel trilogy are really cheesy and really, crazy or whatever.
The through lines,
like I said, it's important. The story structure of those two parts becoming one whole. It's so incredible.
Yeah, so that for me, like I said, it's not all about the flashy lightsaber sequences. I mean, the duel is not very, anything special, but it's crazy that, seeing that movie, aside from the prequels, that moment still feels powerful, even though you don't know the history between Kenobi and Vader at the time. And that moment still resonates, you know what I mean? With him saying, when I left you, I was but the learner, now I am the master. You're like, what is that? Like, what does that mean? There's so much intrigue there about the history between Obi-Wan and Vader, and then you get the prequels, which explores all that, and then, I really like that moment. Again, the music cue there when Obi-Wan sacrifices himself is tremendous. All right, let's move to the big one.
Yeah, the top dog.
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back. We talked about this.
Why'd they kiss in Rise of Skywalker? Why'd they do that?
Speaking of why'd they kiss, why'd Luke and Leia kiss?
Because George Lucas was reading Game of Thrones.
Not my favorite bit from him.
However, there is countless amazing bits in this movie. This movie is incredible storytelling.
Boba
Fett. Who's your favorite Star Wars character? Boba Fett. Not Leia, Boba Fett. Not Padme, Boba Fett. This movie is just absolutely it's a breathtaking visual spectacle. It's one of my favorites, just stories, period. Even if this was inside of Star Wars or outside of Star Wars and just something we were being told about other things that were happening in the universe to fill us in, it is such an absolutely incredible movie that we got. It's so tense. It's what I always say about the second entry in your trilogy. Like, you need to beat down your characters.
Well, this is the one that did that
trend. This is the start of the trend. Yeah.
So yeah, what's your favorite moment from Empire?
I mean, it's got to be Vader versus Luke. It's so. You really see that. I mean, Yoda was right. First of all, Yoda and Ben were right. You did need to stay on Dagobah. But it's such a double jeopardy situation he gets caught in because, hey, I could stay with you guys, but my friends, they 100% will die if I stay. Cool. And I know it's the line, maybe they'll die, maybe, like, I do think they were going to die if he didn't stay. That's the whole plan. Like, he needed to face his father first. That's the point where you're supposed to say, what? His what?
What?
His what? His father. But yeah, this movie, it just has everything. I mean, the Cloud City bit is just, it's just so, it really captures you in world too. You really think that, like, I just love the bit where they open the door and Vader, it's not my favorite bit, but where they open the door and Vader's just sitting there in front of the dinner table.
And how he tries to shoot him?
Yeah. It's like, just everybody sit down.
He just takes his gun, like, all right, you don't need this.
Right.
We're simpatico here. The ending is... I mean, it's masterful.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most cliche bits in movies now. The reveal of I'm your father after all this, like, man.
Yeah, I love hearing Mark Hamill talk about it when he talks about how nobody knew besides him, George Lucas, and one other person. Everyone else kind of got like a dummy script,
right?
Basically, and none of them knew until the movie was shown, right? Because how movies work, like the whole cast isn't on set for every scene.
Also, there was no social media back then, so right. there's no Spider-Man No Way Homing this. There's just utter complete shock.
Mark Hamill tells the story about seeing the premiere and Harrison Ford's next to him, and the I'm your father thing comes out, and Harrison Ford tells him, like, you never told me that.
Why was she Rey Skywalker? I just don't understand.
I'm Rey Mysterio.
I'm Rey Star Wars.
But yeah, I mean, everything from the confrontation to the reveal to Luke getting his arm chopped off to,
this movie is such good filmmaking.
the narrow escape.
No, the narrow. It's just everything. And this is a great budding relationship between Han and Leia too. It's not too overpowered. It's not too gushy. Like it's very believable.
Real. Yeah.
And like,
real,
it's just their personalities on top of that play so well into each other because they both are really like, if an immovable force and like, or immovable object and unstoppable force met, like they're so headstrong. Both of them. They're the perfect fit for each other.
And just, two absolute charismatic, charming actors, Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford.
Yeah. But I think the biggest thing about this is Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker too, and we'll get to that when we talk about our favorite Star Wars characters of all time, but he's such a versatile like if I talked about Kylo Ren being versatile, Luke Skywalker himself, because like I said, he started out as that farm boy that just wanted to go to Tashi Station. And if we want to jump all the way to the Mandalorian where we see him at his prime, and then we go all the way to Last Jedi where we see him at his end, like that's a full character arc to me. Like that's one of the greatest character arcs ever told. Like and we talk about the MCU nowadays in DC, like all these action heroes, like Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker is one of the absolute biggest action heroes of all. It's Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. Return of the Jedi. It's the Ewoks. No, I'm kidding. It's not the Ewoks.
No, it's that bit where I think, doesn't Han like tap a stormtrooper on the shoulder and then run? Yeah.
He also does the shoulder shrug.
He does he got it right from his father. I was a shoulder shrugger like my father before me.
Kylo Ren's like, I've seen Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I watched that movie. Freaking love that movie.
It's man, there's a lot of. It's not. I don't think the actual like redemption of Vader is that great, but it's Vader chucking Palpatine down the exhaust port.
Oh my gosh, he just yeets him down
Again, one of those moments that's really heightened by the prequels because you see the foundation for the manipulation that Palpatine puts Anakin under. And, like I said in Revenge of the Sith, you want Anakin to be doing everything other than what he's doing. And then in Return of the Jedi, he finally does what you wanted him to do.
Yeah.
He gets rid of Palpatine. Like, good. I'm glad he's dead. Until, somehow, Palpatine returns.
Almost left. Almost walked out.
Yeah, it's a really great moment. It's a moment that you didn't know you wanted until you got it. Because like Vader, he's Luke's father, but you're also not necessarily rooting for him to like, because you don't think he's redeemable. First of all, you're like, there's no signs that Vader's really redeemable,
right? At
all,
right?
Until Luke shows up, and then you can see like, shoot, like Vader does care about his son. Like he's like, join me. And then when it becomes crystal clear that Luke's not going to join him, and in fact, Luke's there to try to redeem Vader, and then Palpatine steps in, Vader's like, oh, hold on. You're not about to do this to my son. Yeah. So I really like the fact that Vader finally steps up to the plate and sheds that manipulation that Palpatine, still has him under, all these years later. And finally
got his nephew under the same spell. Like as much as we talk about like a weaving, like the sequels so much also do weave into these other 6 movies as well.
Yeah. So I that's my favorite part.
And my favorite part is played into that. It's the dialogue of the situation before the final confrontation. Like it's one of my favorite lines of dialogue of all time. Like, I am a Jedi like my father before me just rings. It's fitting that it was Father's Day 2 days ago as well. It's so fitting. The fact that it's the whole redemption aspect versus the revenge and I should kill my father aspect. It's the understanding, like, my father was this great man before, he fell to the influence of Palpatine in the dark side. He was a decent, okay guy. He did a lot of good stuff in the Clone Wars. He was okay. He's an okay chum. But, seriously, like, that line alone is just, it encompasses everything that Star Wars is. It's like, everybody wants to be a Jedi. Like, it's the fact that, like, I am Luke Skywalker, I am fully formed, I'm ready to take down Palpatine and the Empire and possibly my father, but I want to save him. And that's what Jedis are supposed to do. They're not supposed to kill, they're supposed to save.
Yeah, agreed. TV shows. Let's talk a little TV quick.
You want to save the anthology movies?
Oh yeah, we could do those. I forgot about those.
How could you forget about 2 of my underrated movies from all this?
Rogue One. So I said my favorite moment is anytime K2SO is on screen.
Oh my God. Go off. Go ahead.
He's just the best. Alan Tudyk grabs that movie by the throat and he doesn't let it go for as long as he's voicing a character on that screen. And his death is kind of sad. It's kind of tragic.
Kind of sad. It's really sad.
Star Wars does a great job of making you care about droids. And K2SO is fantastic. He's a great kind of counterpoint to 3PO, to R2, to all these other droid companions that we've gotten over history. He's snarky, he's fun, he's powerful, he's competent, and he's a great kind of companion to not just Cassian Andor, but the whole Rogue One team. So I really enjoy him in that movie. So anytime he shows up, he's got great lines, talk about like heat check moments, like, making the most of the minutes you have. That's K2SO in Rogue One to me.
Congratulations, you've been saved. I love it. Rogue One, I really struggled just to not put Ben Mendelsohn down the same way you put K2SO down. He's such this like smug and proper like general of the he's like he's the new like why am I blanking on his name from episode 4? He's the new
Tarkin?
Yeah, he's the new Tarkin, essentially.
Tarkin is in Rogue One.
He is in Rogue One. Yeah, maybe let's skip that. I was telling you before, I love the idea that in Rogue One, that like Rogue One to episode 4, if you're watching them in chronological order, that like Leia just got out of there and then episode 4 starts and she just lies, and then Vader's like, you didn't see me kill all those guys back there? I literally was just there. I don't think you can get out of this one. But my favorite moment, and I said this and I really like the visual language of Rogue One, it's the opening shot list and cinematography of Rogue One is so absolutely captivating, and the reason it's so captivating is because it looks drastically different from the other Star Wars movies. Like, this is the first feeling that this is finally something that's not the same as the Skywalker saga, and I think that's really awesome. You really get
very deliberate.
You get thrown in the world. I think Mads Mikkelsen is great as Jyn Erso's father. He really does a great job of understanding like what it does is like what the MCU is doing now. It's now rounding out like the hollow points of the MCU where we're not necessarily following your Iron Mans, your Captain Americas. Now we're on to characters like
the guy who built the Death Star.
Yeah, like, but it's also the idea of like how these people are living in this world, because it's like it's such an important small thing that they do in these anthology movies, and then they do in the Mandalorian as well, because you're so focused on like Luke, Leia, Han. You're so focused on Obi-Wan, Padme, Anakin. You're so focused on Rey, Poe Dameron, and Finn. But now I'm focused on like the world kind of stinks. Like the galaxy really sucks at this moment, and like there's like drug dealing going on at some points. Like you're being like there's like you're being militiaed by the Empire at every point in turn. Like you really get into the ground level of what Star Wars is, and I think it's a really interesting perspective. But the opening really encompasses all that. And
I mean, realistically, we didn't want to say this because obviously, but the best bit is Vader.
Oh my gosh, it's not. We had to challenge ourselves because it was too easy not to say that. I mean,
just an unbelievable scene.
I know Vader was watching the game tape from the end of Mandalorian season 2. And he's just like, "That's my boy. That's my boy."
Solo, Star Wars story.
Hey, can I tell you something?
Yeah, go. Yeah, start.
I kind of really like Solo.
Oh snap!
I kind of like this
what
movie.
A take.
Yeah. I kind of like it. I think it's pretty freaking cool. And I mean, it's just the same concept as Rogue One, but now you're adding the influx of an already established character as a younger version of themselves. I mean,
which I think is what trips a lot of people up ultimately,
including Kathleen Kennedy,
who's I don't understand because.
Wasn't that under your watch that happened? But who knows? But yeah, you get a couple things out of that movie. My favorite thing you get out of this movie is, I mean, the payoff to episode 5 where, famously Lando calls him a scoundrel. You get the meeting between Lando Calrissian and Han Solo. It's great. Yeah. And I think it adds to the fact that Donald Glover / Childish Gambino is playing Lando.
And he's great.
One of the greatest legacy castings in anything that's ever happened. It's just, it's genius. No, he's great in this movie.
Yep.
He's amazing. He's a backstabber. He's double-edged. He's a double-edged sword. But you still get the sense he's just playing into what his environment has provided him.
Yeah, yeah. My favorite bit, it's going to call back to my Phantom Menace bit. It's the Darth Maul appearance.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, it's cool.
Because you're like, wait a second.
Wait, hold on.
And will we ever see any resolution to that? Probably not.
Nope.
But it was cool. Because we were like, whoa. But apparently we are going to get something maybe from Emilia Clarke's character in the future. I thought saw maybe something about
Probably.
that.
I don't think Emilia Clarke's one to waste. I don't think she's just one to be thrown into a project and never be seen from again.
But
could she possibly be in
Mandalorian?
No, possibly in that Andor show, maybe. I think the timelines match somewhat.
Yeah, she could show up in that. But, that Maul appearance at the end when you're like, whoa!
Yeah.
Like, Maul's pulling the strings behind this, what is it, the Crimson Dawn?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. It was great to see
Paul Bettany's the leader of the Crimson Dawn until dun dun dun. It's not Paul Bettany, it's Darth Maul.
It's Maul. Great appearance from Maul. And, we might talk a little bit about the Clone Wars, but one of the more compelling characters in the animated scope of Star Wars is what happens with Maul after the Phantom Menace, leading up to...
spoiled my favorite.
Well, we'll talk about it.
You spoiled mine.
All right, now we can talk about The Mandalorian.
Yes.
So season 1 of The Mandalorian. Do you want to just do The Mandalorian as a whole, or do you want to do season 1 and 2?
Let's do season 1 and 2, because I have 2 different ones.
All right, so season 1, mine is, the thing that I think they needed to nail the most, going into the show, and it stands up as my favorite moment from season 1. It's the introduction of the Mandalorian. It establishes the tone of the show right away. It's Pedro Pascal somehow not being seen, but only being heard, but yet capturing the entire audience. I can bring you in warm, click. I can bring in cold. It's so good. No, it's amazing. The introduction of the Mandalorian immediately establishes the shows. You're like, okay, like I'm kind of in. I'm really in. So that would be mine from season 1, is just the introduction of the Mandalorian.
How did Palpatine return?
Somehow, it's like Top Gun with the ambiguous enemies. Where are we going? Over there, to that country. But where is that country? It's there.
Yeah.
It's on the map. Don't you see it?
Nope.
Palpatine's back. How? Who knows? I don't know. I'm here, ain't I?
Yeah, I should probably talk about my favorite moment before I get mad again. So, it's the ending of episode 3 for me is my favorite moment, because the first 3 episodes is a really solid arc too, because it's it's thinking about the fact that he now has his own youngling, as if he was also a youngling, and it plays into the fact, and also, I think an important thing, because you just said an important thing it needs to do is understand, like, it needs to get the introduction to a character right. I think more importantly for Star Wars itself, it needed to introduce us to somebody that wasn't immediately a Jedi, because it's hard to get people to invest unless you're a Jedi. Like, Jedi are one of the coolest lore characters that you can have, and like, to not be a Jedi, you gotta really have a great show and a great character behind you. And I mean, Pedro Pascal as Din Djarin is just, it's the stroke of genius that we never knew we needed until we had it. I think that's super important. But like I said, the ending of episode 3, finally, what we get out of that is the saving of Grogu. Oh crap, I spoiled it. We get the saving of Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian by the rest of the Mandalorian Creed, which is, you find out, is a sacrifice, because now they're revealed back to be, operating at full capacity, and they basically all sacrificed themselves to make sure a youngling was safe. And that's the whole ideal of the Mandalorians. That's what they do.
This is the way.
This is the way. Cue Ludwig Göransson.
Yeah, no, that's really... I mean, that season is loaded with just tremendous moments.
Yeah.
Season 2, I mean, there's a big one.
There's a couple. There's like 5 big ones.
But there's like a big one.
Is there? What happens?
I'm not saying it. Because it's not mine. I mean, it could be mine easily, but it's not. Honestly, I really like the Bill Burr bit in the... forget what episode that is.
Yeah, it gets surprisingly emotional. And also, it's the first time that he takes the mask off, too. Yes. That's really important.
That's basically what I'm getting at. Yeah. It's him kind of compromising his entire creed for, the sake of this mission. Mm-hmm. It's a big character moment for him where, he takes the helmet off and he's playing somebody else, and it, in a way, it kind of elevates the moment where he again removes his helmet at the end of the season, to say goodbye to Grogu. Mm-hmm. And that Bill Burr bit just struck me, man. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, he just kind of, you realize it's one of those moments that humanizes, the Empire in a way. Like, not the Empire, but the people serving the Empire.
Well, that's what I talked about with Rogue One. It's like the humanization of the Star Wars lore, the Star Wars world outside of the Skywalkers. Like, it does a great job of that.
Yeah, and I mean, and then aside from the other just fantastic moments, I wanted to pick one that was a little more under the radar, because I could pick, obviously the reemergence of Boba Fett is great. The end, which I'm not going to talk about. The bit that you're going to talk about, there's just a ton of great moments in the second season, but I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the introduction of Ahsoka, but it's funny. I was gonna pick the ending of that episode where her and Mando team up, but I think it's when Grogu gets named. I really love that bit because it's such a soft moment. It's so soft. It's such a tender thing. And I mean, again, another thing to ignite the internet on fire when we found out what Baby Yoda's name was Grogu. I just love how casual she was about it. But it's also the whole we learn about the Coruscant thing and how traumatic his life has been at such a young age. Like how tragic everything has been to him over the last, how long has it been?
Well, he's 50-ish,
something like that. And yeah, he's had such a terrible life up until this moment on the run, being hidden by so many people. And it's the music cues as well. Ludwig Göransson again, it's just masterful. I mean, I think he's gonna, if he sticks with Star Wars, we'll see. But I mean, at this point with The Mandalorian, he's like our new age John Williams with this, of like being the guy that you just, is so synonymous with Star Wars, the new age Star Wars. But
yeah, I mean, Ahsoka, that whole episode, obviously Dave Filoni was hands on with that episode. Ahsoka is his character. That's his stamp on Star Wars is that character,
to the point where now she has her own show. So shout out Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, great performance. And then, the Luke bit.
Oh, let's just talk about it. We're already
bit
here.
At the end is pretty good.
Yeah. One X-Wing, great. We're saved.
We've talked about that moment ad nauseum. It's great.
Good.
It's great.
Oh my gosh. Just me being woken up by the Force or something. I don't know why I was awake. For whatever reason, I just woke up and I had no expectations for this finale. I'm like, cool. Somebody's probably going to show up. Whoever, it doesn't matter. Could it be Cal Kestis? Probably not. Could it be Ahsoka? It probably was going to be her because she already was in the show. And then lo and behold, the most important thing about this is that we finally got the thing we never seen before. And that's, I'm talking prime time Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, the guy, like the big action hero I talked about, fully formed. Like that was finally him. And boy, did they not disappoint.
And the departure between Grogu and the Mandalorian is just it's tough.
Yeah, it is tough.
But all's well that ends okay, because we segue into Book of Boba Fett, which we talked about.
And I think we just have the same one.
It's the Mandalorian.
It's surprise. It's the 2-episode Mandalorian arc, which
Sorry, Boba Fett.
We already talked about it. The absurdity of a show to be named after a character and have the character be in 2 minutes of 2 episodes out of a 7-episode season.
The last 2.
No, he was...
The second... Well...
It was episode 5 and episode 6. Boba Fett was in it for 2 minutes. 2 minutes of screen time in his own show.
It's so good.
It's probably some of the best Mandalorian... Episode 5 specifically, directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, who I know is being practitioned to be the new, director of Star Wars, because... She gets it. She gets it. She gets it, man.
She's coming back for Mandalorian season 3.
Oh my god. Just let her do the whole season. Let her and Dave Filoni do the season with Jon Favreau just being over in the corner and being like, good job, guys. Every 5 minutes, it's perfect.
It's impossible to not enjoy that Mandalorian stuff.
Oh my gosh. I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold.
We get a callback?
Yeah, we do.
We get Grogu and Mando reuniting.
We also get the whole Grogu arc now with Luke. We get more. We get more Luke Skywalker.
We get more Ahsoka.
Everybody's coming back in a Boba Fett show.
I mean,
we already dealt with it. We already talked about it. We did,
but we do get some. We get a good moment between Mando and Boba Fett.
Yeah, they have a nice little, kind
of cowboy, Butch and Sundance. Yeah, the Butch and Sundance kind of thing. It's the last stand, the quote unquote last stand, because obviously. A, the Mandalorian's not going to die, and B, Boba Fett's not going to die. So it's kind of like dramatic tension, but they do have a nice like back and forth where Boba Fett's like, you should go. Mm-hmm. Like, you have more to do. Like,
right. You have a show.
You have a child. You have a kid. Mm-hmm. Like, you should go. And Mando's just like, I'm already here.
Mm-hmm. Let's do this.
He's like, this is the way.
Yeah, this
and
is the
Boba
way.
Fett's like, you still believe in that hokey religion nonsense?
I love that aspect about Din Djarin so much, that he's such like a cultist. And so, because you don't understand it until you get to season 2, where you're like, oh crap, like finally Bo-Katan shows up and she's just like, why are you what do you mean you can't take your helmet off? He looks at them when they take their helmet off, he's like, Jesus.
And then, like, he gets exiled.
He does.
Because they're like, did you take your helmet off? And he's like,
maybe.
I still get to keep the Darksaber, though, right? And they're like,
yeah, technically.
Guess.
John Favreau is the big meanie of a Mandalorian. That's like, who's he? Tar Vizsla's descendant. So he's just like, that belongs to me. So they have a good little fight in episode 5.
Yeah.
Mandalorian wins.
Yeah, Mandalorian wins.
Yeah, because that fight is reserved expressly for Bo-Katan in season 3, presumably.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, he gets the classic speeder from the prequels. Oh my gosh. How in 2 episodes did they achieve more in the full season of a different character's show? Man.
Oh, what else? What are we doing next?
Animated stuff.
Oh yeah. We're just gonna lump all this together.
Yeah.
Mine is Ahsoka fighting Vader at the end of the Rebels arc.
Yeah, it's tough. It's the same concept of having, Luke at the end of Mandalorian or the last fight in, the Last Jedi.
It's incredible. It's a testament to how far the Ahsoka character has come, because a lot of people were not crazy about her when she first appeared, and then she goes on a hell of a journey.
Oh, that's an understatement.
Ultimately culminating with her confrontation with Vader, where they fight. His mask cracks at some point, and you see Anakin underneath the Vader mask, and he says Ahsoka, and it's brilliantly stitched together with the voice actor for Anakin and the Vader voice saying Ahsoka, and she's just like, Anakin would never be this monster, even though she knows deep down that it's him. It's really good.
I mean, this is also a big piece of Star Wars, is different pieces of the lore fitting into the, the overarching big story. It's the fact that, like, it's a nice rounding of everything, because she also knows. Padme says it when she dies, like, Luke knows it. Ahsoka, it's the people that know him know it, and it gets paid off in episode 6. It's really the perfect ending to this whole thing. And then episode 7 came out. I picked, my favorite thing is it's Maul versus Ben Kenobi.
Where did Palpatine get all the Star Destroyers?
How much overtime did they need to work? Where's Exegol? They needed a wayfinder to find Exegol, and magically they had 1,000 Star Destroyers just waiting there. I don't get it. Remember when she killed Kylo Ren and then she healed him?
Maul and Obi-Wan.
I felt nothing during the first or whatever, the Rey versus Kylo Ren fight in Rise of Skywalker. I felt not a thing. Whatever happened if Kylo Ren was to die right there, I would have been like, all right. It doesn't matter. We're talking about Maul versus Ben Kenobi. I mean, this is like one of the last ditch efforts of like your old gunslinger type of character. I mean, Ben Kenobi's not really a gunslinger, but he's like the old Logan-esque character where he has such like a past where it's like, all right, now I got to go deal with this thing real quick. I got to get my revenge for my girl. Let's get it popping.
Well, Maul shows up on Tatooine.
Oh, true. Because what did we say about all these sand planets? That's where all the exposition happens.
Yeah, Maul has been pursuing Kenobi for 100 years.
But it's what it feels like.
Because
it's so long.
He can't get over the fact that he got his legs cut off. He's like, you cut off my legs and it ruined my life, Kenobi.
I also would have been kind of mad.
You cut off my legs and it ruined my life. Palpatine kicked me out of the Sith because I got my leg cut off.
I had to go start this crime organization because the Sith wouldn't accept me.
And now I'm coming after you,
yeah,
Kenobi.
Man. Yeah,
You're an old man. I got you right where I want you.
But then, what's the famous thing that he does in this fight?
He switches stances. He goes classic Obi-Wan, your move stance.
Move.
Then he goes classic Obi-Wan stance. And then he goes Qui-Gon stance. Because, because he reads Maul like a book. Maul is angry. He's predictable.
And I think that's really cool, too, because Obi-Wan's dealt with angry before.
So he assumes Qui-Gon's stance, knowing that Maul is going to go for the whip when that maneuver, and Obi-Wan just cuts the double-bladed lightsaber in half and cuts Maul down the middle. I'm kind of unclear how he kills him with that, but
it's an animated
thing. Yeah. But you get a really nice moment where Maul's like, I get it. Like, I get what you're doing. Like, you're going to save all of us. Or, well, he's going to save all of us.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be the one that gets us out from under the thumb of the Empire. Which is a really nice moment. And Ben's like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha again. 2-0. Yeah, 2-0, son.
2-0 against you, bro.
All 100 years of revenge, and look at you.
Yeah.
Dead in the sand.
Yeah.
Maul going outside.
The games.
Yeah.
What you got?
From what? Anything?
You could do any game. I'm going to do 2 games.
I don't really have anything from The Force Unleashed. I mean, Star Killer pulling down it's
well, that
silly.
was mine. That was mine.
It's silly. Those games are silly. I lied.
You promised to stay away.
Those games are silly. Sam Witwer, by the way.
Great.
Great as Star Killer, great as Maul.
It's to the point where I would do anything. I know he's not canon. I would do anything to see Star Killer in live action. They can't make him
canon. He's ridiculously overpowered.
Yeah, I mean, he did everything. He freaking killed Vader, basically. That's
a bunch of times.
Oh, he's so great. I had the Wii, but I had that extension piece. So and I literally, as a kid, I got like the thing where it's the lightsaber, like the literal big lightsaber that you put on the Wii controller, and I was going crazy in my living room. Definitely broke some stuff.
So Fallen Order.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, we're here to talk about Fallen Order. It's the Vader appearance at the end.
Go ahead, because that's your 3 for 3. Go ahead,
dude. It's so unexpectedly good.
Oh my god, you don't think it?
No, not at all, because this thing feels so detached from like the main Star Wars thing.
And thank God I didn't get that spoiled either, because like I said, we're in a day of age, everything gets spoiled. It's like,
especially like a video game.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because people are playing these things day one, finishing them day one.
Some of us have to work.
Yeah, so I didn't get that spoiled for me either. And
oh my god,
So it's a sequence like of events that like it's Vader, right? Like you just feel it because what is she? Second sister?
Yeah, second sister.
Second sister is like kneeling down, and then like her
feeling,
face, and you're like, what is
drains,
that? And then you hear the breathing, and you're like,
what?
My god!
Yep. You have failed me, second sister.
You have failed me for the last time, Inquisitor. And you're like, oh god.
And this is the same thing it does in Rogue One. It's what it's doing in no spoilers, but it's what it's doing in Obi-Wan.
Vader's real scary.
But Anakin Skywalker is absurdly powerful. It's such a
good framing device, because I talked about Force Unleashed being a little silly with how like powerful Star Killer is. You're like, yeah, I'm Cal Kestis, I got all these cool powers, but still, what's your main goal at the end of that game? Run.
Yeah, it's such an innovative way to. It's like the Doctor Strange approach of how to end something without like something beating something. Like,
you're not fighting the final boss. No, you're running from the final boss.
Like you need to get out of there. There's no fighting Darth Vader. Like, because you can try, you die. You can try to run away. Like, there's like people have tried to like beat Vader. Like, you just don't. Like, he's too over. It's built into the game. You can't beat him.
It's so good. It's so good. One of the best gaming moments I had of that year.
Oh my gosh, I love that game so much. I think that game's really beautiful too. Yeah. I think that's a beautiful, and not only the game looks beautiful, the story work, but more important, the character work, and that is some of the best character work I've seen from Star Wars, mainly from Cal Kestis, which brings me to my favorite moment, and that is the Ilum sequence in Fallen Order, where I wrote it here, like he needs to atone for Order 66 and what happened on that day, where he blames himself for basically killing his master, and it's not his fault. He's a 12-year-old kid. It's not his fault that happened. He was just caught there, but it's almost like he felt a moment of cowardice, but it's not. He was a child, but he still blames himself. So basically, his lightsaber gets destroyed previously. He goes to Ilum, where canonically that's where all the younglings go to, forge their lightsabers and find their kyber crystals. And he goes there. It's the worst. He's the worst he's been. It's like he's really down, and you see a kid version of himself pull him out of the water, and it's fine. Like, it's okay. Like, go be this great Jedi I know you can be, and this great man I know you can be. And he forges the double-edged lightsaber and greatness of this game. You go out there and you just mow down some stormtroopers out there. It's a great game.
I'm holding off on playing it again until the next one is closer.
Because the Grand Inquisitor's back.
I lied.
Somehow the Grand Inquisitor returned.
Let's talk characters. And honestly, I was going to do a top 3, but the top 1 for me is so far and away my favorite above all the others.
Can I guess it?
Yeah.
Is it? Can I get two hints? I need one hint.
I mean, do you need one? I've kind of through-lined this entire
Babu Frick.
Yes! You nailed it.
Thank God.
No, it's not Babu Frick. But it should be.
It should be.
That should be everybody's favorite character from Star Wars.
Shout out Babu Frick. It's nobody from the Jedi Council because they all suck, and I'll die on that hill that they're the worst.
It's definitely no. It's not Plo Koon.
Yeah.
It's not Shakti. It's not Kayati and Lindy.
Shakti did so dirty in every single piece of
the Kenny of the Star Wars universe.
She really is. Oh my god. What did Shakti do to deserve this? Man.
Yeah.
Is it Han Solo?
No, it's not Han Solo. It's Vader. It's Anakin Skywalker. It's both sides of the coin, both the hero and the villain and the eventual hero again. The journey, the character, say what you want about the writing of the prequels, but I think Hayden Christensen gives an inspired kind of tragic performance. It's the tragedy. I'm a big fan of tragic characters.
Yeah.
Macbeth.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, but yeah, it's the tragedy of Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker that draws me to that character, aside from all like the cool stuff, the look, the design of the character, the power set is amazing, but just like I said, the tragedy of that character, and like you always like look at a character like Vader and you wonder what the world could have been looked like if he didn't go the way he went. What that looks like. And that's the tragedy is, like I said, you want Anakin to be doing anything other than what he's doing. You want him to be the chosen one. You want him to be the hero. And he's not until he is. But even by then, it's kind of too late. It's too late for him, but not too late for Luke. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of that character and that arc that's played out over, first it was 3 films and then it expands to 6 and you see the journey. And I think that's really important, really beautiful, and also really tragic. So, I could mention Obi-Wan, I could mention Maul, I could mention Han, all characters that I love a lot. I could mention Kylo Ren. I like Kylo Ren a lot. But Vader is so far and away the most compelling character to me, and by extension, Anakin also, that it's not even honestly worth talking about any of the others because they just don't compare for me.
Well, I think it does mention worth talking about one other person, because some people are Jedis just like their father before them. And I think that Luke Skywalker is he's my favorite Star Wars character. And I just think this is more of like a understanding like the culture of movies on top of it. And it's like I talked about before. It's this fact that Luke Skywalker himself was one of the most classic action heroes of all time. I think we even talked about it in the 80s episode. I can't remember if I did pick him. I think I might have picked him as my favorite action hero from the 80s. I mean, Luke Skywalker he needs to pay off what it's the double-sided nature. As much as it's this tragedy of Darth Vader, it's also the rise of Luke Skywalker. It's the rise of
Say it!
Well,
say the thing.
It was the rise of Skywalker. Dread it, run from it. The rise of Palpatine returns all the same. No, but seriously, I really love Luke Skywalker, and it's if you really want to get into it, like this whole, the outworldy type of thing of it, and like the understanding of like what it did to everybody, like. Think about I know we just talked about, think about season 2, the last episode of season 2 of The Mandalorian. People were crying. They were legitimately crying when he came back as Luke Skywalker. And like finally seeing this powerful version of Luke, this Jedi Master version of Luke, is so satisfying because we haven't seen that before. We've seen him right there. We've seen him on the cusp of it, but we've never seen that before.
We've seen him after.
We've seen him after. And I mean, I talked about it, that arc that he has. I think it's really, nothing can get to Vader's. It's like, it's always going to be a 1A and a 1B if you want to even get close, but this is one of the best 1Bs because I think we're probably, defenders of Luke's arc in the sequel trilogy because I just think people write it off as being bad. I mean, if you think about it, he did what what Obi-Wan did for a little bit. He was the one that essentially set his younger brother on this path of darkness, and Luke set his nephew on this path of darkness. Like, it's really sad. It's tough to even think about, but if you want to look at it from the beginning, like I said, it's just this kid that lives, and he just doesn't think of anything. He's just this young person that just lives on this planet in the middle of nowhere. Does not matter to the grand scheme of things, but it's just like the Force says, like the Force lives through us and penetrates everything, and it's this one ever-flowing force that will, guide us into balance.
Have you played Battlefront 2?
Oh, sure.
that has some of my favorite Luke Skywalker stuff in it. Coincident, like the story mode of Battlefront 2, where you do like a weird little mission as Luke Skywalker, and you go on this like kind of odd couple mission with one of the I forget what the name of their little squad, the Empire squad, is in that, but you go on a mission with one of them, and you're searching for this Jedi vault, and the Empire guy's there to destroy it, and Luke is there to retrieve something from it, and they find the vault, and Luke picks up, I guess it's like a holocron or a compass or something, some sort of map for something, and Luke's like, hey, like, can I have this? And the guy's like, why would I let you do that? Like, we're mortal enemies. Like, you're Luke Skywalker. And Luke just goes, because I asked. And it, like, that.
It's Luke Skywalker, man.
Yeah, it's really good. And he's like, yeah, do whatever. Like, I'm just going to take this. He's like, we don't have to be enemies.
Yeah, it's just, I know we talk about we want grayness from these characters and we don't want everybody to be like, Superman or Captain America, but like, I can accept that with Luke Skywalker because he's not this perfect person to start with. He's such this like, he's just like an idiot kid to start with, and then
becomes something
greater. He becomes the greatest. He becomes the GOAT.
the GOAT who tries to murder his nephew.
All GOATs have their dark period. Remember when LeBron scored 3 points in that finals game? All GOATs have that dark moment.
All right, I guess we can wrap this up with just kind of ranking our favorite of all the Star Wars movies.
Give me a top three. I think this is
top three in reverse order.
Yeah, we gotta do this as a countdown.
Okay, so
countdown to episode 2. Attack the Clones.
Attack of the Clones, number 1.
I hate them.
So for me, it would be A New Hope 3, then Revenge of the Sith is 2 for me. It's really well done. And then number 1, I've talked about this ad nauseum. Empire is number 1 for me because it's timeless.
It's ridiculous how, like I said, it's not even the fact of the movie being in Star Wars being the best movie. It's the movie itself is absolutely amazing. It's just such a great movie. That's a great top 3. I think I might have jumped the gun. Can we put the shows as like things in our top 3 as pieces?
I think so, yeah.
I guess I had Rogue One as 3 because I remember when that movie came out, I was just enthralled by that movie. I couldn't get over it. It was this big piece of like in universe. I love Star Wars so much, and this was so different. And Ken Watanabe, I should have put Ken Watanabe's character in my top 3. I'm one with the Force is one with me. But you know what? I'll switch out Rogue One, and I'm gonna put Mandalorian season 2. And it's not because of the cameos, it's not because of that, it's just because of the character work for Din Djarin, which, if we rounded out our top, 3 favorite characters, I did have Din Djarin as my second favorite Star Wars character. I don't know if that's recency bias. I just think it's because he's really a interesting and compelling character himself. But I have, let's put Mandalorian season 2 as my third favorite piece of Star Wars lore. I really enjoy that season. You know what? I gotta stay classic. Empire's second for me. I mean, for all the reasons I've stated throughout the episode. And I mean, number 1's A New Hope. It's such a teeter-totter, but I think it's my favorite Star Wars movie because it's the beginning of this. I mean, the idea that this guy in 1977 was just like, you know what? The years before, like, let's make a movie about space wizards and see how that goes, and like created, one of the biggest universes to ever exist.
Yeah.
It's really incredible for filmmaking itself. It's really incredible for storytelling. A story that will continue to go on for as long as, cinemas are still a thing and TV is still a thing.
Star Wars is never going anywhere.
I see no end to this. It's just the start of it's one of the most classic hero journeys you can ever ask for.
And that's Star Wars. Wasn't that fun?
That was fun.
How fun Star Wars is?
It can be when you're not mean. Except for the Rise of Skywalker.
Where did you get all those Star Destroyers from?
Where did they come from? How was Snoke a clone to him?
How was Snoke?
How was Snoke? Was Snoke even someone? I love the theory better that Snoke was the youngling that was brutally murdered. Mr. Skywalker, there's too many of us. What do you want us to do?
Was he Rey from the future? I don't know, man. Kylo Ren is great.
Yeah, he's real good.
I love Adam Driver.
He's my third favorite character from this entire thing.
He's real good.
He's so good.
Shoulder shrug.
Yeah, people. Hey, man.
Why'd they kill him?
Why did they kill him? Imagine both of them having to go back to Jakku. Tatooine.
Rey Skywalker and Kylo Ren? Ben Skywalker?
Ben Solo, man.
Ben Star Wars.
Ben Star Wars. Not to underrate. I feel like Han should always... We didn't even talk about Han a lot. Shout out Harrison Ford.
Oh my god, yeah. I talked about him during the 80s episode.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable.
He's the perfect other piece to Luke. He's the perfect other character to, like, you know, this good, like, pure Jedi character. He's like...
He's the reason why I knock New Hope a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because he almost takes the movie over.
Yeah, he does.
He's so freaking good in A New Hope.
From the jump.
You're like, is this the coolest person who ever existed?
Well, that's the thing. He's so cool. God.
Besides Alec Guinness.
Yeah.
Chopping that guy's arm off in the bar. Oh, man. What do you got? What have you been doing? What's up?
What have I been doing? I'm getting ready for Umbrella Academy for tomorrow. That's been fun. But I'm shooting a movie, I guess. That's the thing that I've been doing. We're shooting a no budget feature. So that's fun. Go follow us on Twitter.
Yes, do it.
At Until Next Time.
And Instagram. I tagged it. I put it in the show thing, like rundown thing that I post with every episode. All our socials are on there, as well as the project that Courtney's working on is also tagged there. So give it a follow.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm becoming my own George Lucas.
Nice.
Because
I love that.
Yeah, tell more stories. It's important. It's super important. Back from the hieroglyphics of the ancient Egypt to the cave writings of cavemen all the way till now.
Somehow Court returned.
A new court.
What was that movie?
Just how did they get all those ships there and so fast?
How did he force lightning the entire fleet?
If you can force lightning the entire fleet, but you didn't have the power that you needed if you were struck down, then how did you even struggle in Revenge of the Sith?
And stop using your force lightning, Palpatine.
Yeah.
It never works.
Yeah.
It worked on Luke one time.
Is he not a good swordsman?
I mean, he did that spinny bit.
Cool, but then he was dispatched of real quick.
You know?
Do you know about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
I'm in.
Yeah, Anakin didn't even need to think.
That sounded cool as hell.
I just love, like, you talked about it last week, like, Anakin's like, hey, remember how you guys told me to go sign on Palpatine? Yeah, he's definitely may or may not be evil.
That's my favorite part. He's like, Palpatine's a Sith Lord.
Yeah.
And they're like, are you sure?
And he just looks around and he's just like...
He's like, you know what?
You guys are the ones running the galaxy right now?
I don't even want to be on the council anymore. You guys are a bunch of idiots. Yeah. But what about the Wookiees? Shut up, Kai-Adi-Mundi.
You really don't like him.
He's fine.
Yeah, none of the Jedi Council gets any character work except for, you know... Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, and Yoda. That's it.
But what about the Wookiees?
What
about Yaddle?
Yeah. Yaddle disrespected, question mark?
I'm Palpatine.
I just know Obi-Wan, when Qui-Gon was just like, you need to train them, he's like, oh my god.
The Jedi are terrible at their jobs.
From my perspective, the Jedi are evil. They are terrible at their jobs. They're the worst. They stink.
But which was destroyed? The Master or the Apprentice?
How could... If Yoda's so powerful...
And then Palpatine's like,
interesting.
You gotta do better, Senator. Yeah. Senator Palpatine in particular.
Yeah. Obi-Wan's got some luscious locks in episode 2.
I can't believe they brought spoiler alert, but they brought it back.
They did bring it back. It's so good. Y'all are hating on Obi-Wan.
Oh, I can't wait. Next week is going to be fun.
Is this the one where we're either going to be praised by the Star Wars fans or be canceled by the entire Star Wars fandom?
That could be, because I got some good things to say about a particular character that people may not be liking.
Yeah.
But I have good things to say about that character. Yeah. Especially off the back of this last episode.
Oh my god, yeah.
So, next week's going to be fun. And that's what we're doing next week.
Sorry that person's life had to go that way. Oh, yeah. God, Star Wars is really tragic.
We're talking Obi-Wan next week, by the way.
Yeah, and guess what we're not talking about?
Jurassic World Dominion. Oh man,
is that like the anti-Dune Oppenheimer of this?
We did an episode on Morbius, but we will not do an episode on Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Give me some memes. You give me some memes, and we'll talk about the movie.
We're in. We're out.
Give me Matt Smith dancing.
Give me Jeff Goldblum dancing with Chris Pratt.
You give me Jeff Goldblum. Just give me Jeff Goldblum. The same song too.
Yeah, dancing with the dinosaur, maybe. Yeah.
See, you missed the trick, Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Alright guys, you can follow us on Twitter at ProjectINF_pod. You can follow us on Facebook and new episodes posted there, and to Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts.
iHeartRadio, Pandora, your grandmother's radio. We're everywhere.
Every week, or whenever we do a special one, which we might have a couple of those.
Yeah, we might have 2 of those soon.
Yeah, we'll probably end up doing one for Thor. We'll probably end up doing one for Stranger Things.
Oh, I have no doubt in my mind we're going to do one for Stranger Things.
You can follow us on Instagram.
Steve's dying.
Stop it, Wong.
I'm 0 for 2 because what did I have? Who did I say for Spider-Man? I said that
Andrew Garfield. We both said that, to be fair.
Okay. I was dead wrong on Wong dying. Yeah, he's not making that a Doctor Strange 3.
Stop it. Stop saying that.
Thank God Wong's the Sorcerer Supreme. He deserves it way more than
does.
Steven.
You went to Christine's wedding?
Why don't you shut up, man?
Did you say the Instagram thing?
The Project Infinite Pod.
He might have said it already. I don't remember.
Me neither. I was too busy worried about Steve Harrington being alive past this season. Dustin's still dying?
Yeah, I think I'm on board with that also.
You gotta kill one of the kids.
You gotta kill a kid.
Gotta kill a kid. I had to stop myself. We'll talk about it next week.
And that's it?
That's it.
Alright.
Careful. Careful before you give me Mace Windu. Careful. Don't give me Finn. Don't give me Mace. Careful. I'll accept Mace Windu. I will not accept Finn. Before we hop off, here's my John Boyega rant. You guys ready? It's very simple. Let's make him a Jedi. What happened?
That was the whole rant.
That was the whole point of the whole thing in The Force Awakens, was this guy got awakened from being a stormtrooper.
I've never seen Have you ever seen
Fumbled.
Have you ever seen a character arc go backwards?
How did you regress as a character? It would have been way more interesting if he was part of the Resistance and then he was.
It wasn't an arc. It was a straight line backwards somehow.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I've never seen a character arc start at the top of the arc and then just go backwards.
Yeah, there was no negative space. Those are negative numbers. It doesn't make sense.
How do you go backwards? I don't understand.
He yelled Rey for 3 movies.
Like, he went backwards. Rey went on a belt, like a zigzag, like a zigzaggy arc.
Poe Dameron just stood.
Dameron went in a straight line. Yeah. Kylo Ren was the only one that went.
He went like on a spiral. It was
like a proper arc.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean yeah.
Everyone else's arcs were all over the place.
Because we are Rey Star Wars.
The Kylo Ren of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know how to feel about that.
What do you mean? You're the best one.
You know what I mean.
I don't know what you mean.
You know what I mean. Could have gave me an Anakin.
I did that last week, did I not?
Oh, am I 2 for 2?
We talked about Revenge of the Sith.
Who was I? Was I Anakin last week?
I think so.
Why do you keep giving me these characters?
But you're my favorite character.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's great. For the Obi-Wan of the podcast, not only in spirit but in hair, the Obi-Wan of the podcast.
This is true. I do have a bit of the Obi-Wan going on.
Mm-hmm. You got to keep it until after tomorrow, and then you got to switch to the Top Gun because you've been neglecting it. I got to get the payback look. Top Gun.
I'm not brave enough to do the Miles Teller.
Yeah, mustache thing. Yeah,
it's a rare breed of person that can pull off a mustache.
We're not 6'3" and just chiseled.
I'm definitely not 6'3". All right, guys. Next week we're gonna talk Obi-Wan. It's gonna be fun.
It will be fun. This is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins. Hello there,
General Kenobi.
Is he gonna say it?
If he leaves without saying, nope. Let's not do that. We're not on that accord that you need to pay off all the fan service.
Pay it off. He has to say it.
He has to say it. He was so close. We were on the verge of... See, this is why I love Ben Mendelsohn as director credit. We were on the verge of greatness. We were right there.
I can't wait. I genuinely don't know what to expect from this finale. Did you see the one article when it was like, is Obi-Wan going to kill off Luke Skywalker? And I'm like, did you guys...
Oh, I saw another article that said, enough's enough, too much Obi-Wan in the show, and I said... Wait a second.
This guy didn't miss the point.
Yeah, this guy didn't read the title before he hit play.
All right, guys.
That's it.
Where did he get all the Star Destroyers?
Where did they come from? Why did she call herself Rey Skywalker? Why? Why didn't she just say Rey?
I thought that was the whole point of the thing.
It doesn't matter where... And it's even better for Luke. The guy that actually was Luke Skywalker. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what your father did. You are the own makeup of what you do for yourself. Either what you come from doesn't matter. But Rey Star Wars. I'm
Ray Romano.
I love everybody. Ray's Raven.
I'm Ray Palmer.
The Atom.
Brandon Routh should be Wonder Man. I should have said that earlier.
Oh, he would be a great Wonder Man. He'd be real good at that. I like that Taron Egerton one a lot. I think that's a... Is that tailor made for Zac Efron?
How many things you putting Zac Efron in?
Mine is Zac Efron stand. I saw Charlie St. Cloud and I didn't know how to handle myself.
All right, speaking of that, I can't believe you just name dropped that movie because quick side story.
We're going on a side quest? This is great. We beat the game and now we're on a side quest. Go ahead.
So when that movie came out, I went to the movie theater with two of my friends and they were both like, we need to see this movie. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go. I'll go with you. And this is at a time when that type of movie was not up my alley at all. So they I begrudgingly went and they got their tickets like all excited. And then I went up to the ticket booth like behind them, like put my head down and I was like, Charlie St. Cloud, like one ticket.
Oh, that's great. That's
like
great.
just it's like the opposite of like that meme when they're like, what movie are you here for?
Yeah.
The camera pans and it's like someone dressed up as like Spider-Man. Yeah. I was like,
sorry, can you speak up for us? Charlie St. Cloud.
Don't make me repeat myself.
You're repeating yourself. You're repeating yourself.
I wish I needed this to come out like 10 years in the future where I could just pick my ticket up at a kiosk.
Oh yeah, not say anything?
So I didn't have to talk to like a human person.
Yeah. The future.
But that's my Charlie St. Cloud story.
I know I'm not old by any stretch of the imagination. I think I'm fairly young still. I think I'm pretty young.
Yeah.
We're really in the future where you can go on your phone and buy a ticket for a movie that you're going to see in a month.
It's great. I haven't spoken to a person at a movie theater.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have. Remember when we had to go get those Top Gun posters?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. Shout out that guy. Is he like our favorite person that works at the movie theater that we go to that we can't disclose?
Right.
Guys, that guy's awesome. I love that guy.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's like running that like a coach. Like he's back there going crazy.
Like, can we get one of those? He's like, yeah.
Yeah. No, what did he say? He's like, nah, of course not. Get out of here. And he's like, oh.
He's like, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he did the Drake Parker from Drake and Josh. He's like, whoa, take it easy, man. Just go ahead and take one.
Yeah.
We've had some interesting experiences at that theater.
Yeah.
That mom yelling that one time for the R-rated movie. That was fun. That was a great...
Oh my God.
So notoriously, anytime we go out to do something, there's always something that goes on. The Taco Bell incident, that's all I'll refer to that as is the Taco Bell. I don't care if any of this gets cut or if this stays in.
No, it's staying in.
Of course it's got to stay in.
Because we're at the end. I don't want to really edit more than when I have to.
What else do we got? We've got some great moments. The Taco Bell moments, probably.
That was unbelievable.
That's the top.
Shout out Taco Bell.
That was a movie. That's why I talked about it. That
felt like a Community episode.
That felt like an episode of Atlanta. It was so absurd what happened. We were like, what's going on? Wow.
Oh man.
But in a galaxy far, far away, still don't go to Taco Bell.
Whoa, come on, man.
Oh, did I ruin our Taco Bell sponsorship in about 3 years?
You might have.
Just kidding.
All right, guys.
Let's get out of here. How did he get the Star Destroyers? Where did he get them
What was that weird Hannibal Lecter board that he was strapped to in the end?
I don't know.
Was he like half a person? What was going on there?
I don't understand. Was he still like a spirit?
Nah, he was alive.
But like, how?
I don't know. Somehow.
Why did they have Snoke in the first two movies?
Does anyone else think his head was weird? Or is it just me?
What
was going on with that guy?
It doesn't matter. He wasn't a real person.
Andy Serkis, though.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even talk about Andy Serkis. This is the greatest epilogue to any movie that we've... Or any episode we've
Remember
ever
when
had.
Snoke was like, what are you going to do, Kylo Ren? Kill me? And he was
Kylo Ren's like, maybe.
Now that you just said that.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Shout out those Red Guards getting owned in 2 different trilogies.
Jeez.
Nothing beats the Yoda one, though.
Yeah, oh my god.
Push. And they were dead?
Oh, who knows, man? Who knows?
All right. In the immortal words of Mace Windu, this party's over. What a weird thing for a Jedi Master to say.
You want to buy some death sticks? These look like Camino darts. What? See? I see why you guys take Star Wars so seriously. It is utterly... They were saved by miniature bears in the Return of the Jedi. Why are you taking this so seriously?
Remember when George Lucas edited in that musical bit into Return of the Jedi?
They had a Christmas special.
Ooh, we don't talk about that. Oh, man.
It's so ridiculous.
How did we get here?
I don't know.
It started with Charlie St. Cloud, and now we're here.
We're here.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week for Obi-Wan. Not hello there, but goodbye.
Goodbye from the other side.
We'll see you next week.
Peace.